Your Majesty, 4 o'clock.
Thank you. Kettle.
Good morning, Your Majesty.
Good morning, Kettle.
Anything?
7. Breakfast with the gnädige Frau. Dr. Kanzel. Conrad von Herzendorf. Montenuovo, of course. Nothing.
Morning, Majesty.
Good morning, Felsenstein.
Majesty?
The Count Montenuovo at 11:15, Felsenstein.
Majesty?
We see the High Chamberlain at 11:30, Felsenstein.
Majesty.
Thank you, Felsenstein. Tired, my dear, and old. Old. And this cough.
My dear, what do you expect? You had pneumonia 3 months ago. Try and sleep a little longer in the mornings.
If I did not start work so early, I could not possibly enjoy our summer breakfast so much, could I? There's something in the air, a kind of restlessness, hysteria. I don't pretend to understand it. No moderation. They don't act moderately. What is even worse, they don't think moderately.
My dear?
Oh, my Katerina. What should I have done without you for the last 30 years, my dear?
31.
31?
It's the year that Wagner died.
Oh, yes.
1883. Silly little actress.
But gifted.
Oh, yes. Gifted. Very.
And pretty. Even the Empress thought so. That delightful Fräulein von Schratt. Now I'm even forbidden to attend the Bosnian autumn maneuvers. Doctor's orders.
Good heavens, to think that you should even consider traveling all the way to Bosnia.
Well, my nephew will take my place. He likes playing the emperor.
My dear, one day Franz Ferdinand will be emperor.
When God wills it, not before. He wants to change everything. Oh, it's very easy to change. Not so easy to improve. And I will not have the Constitution tampered with. I've no doubt that she'll enjoy the little outing to Bosnia. That serving wench, Sophie Chotek, she'll be able to preen herself at her husband's side.
Franz, the Duchess may have been a lady in waiting, but she was never...
Of all the crosses I have had to bear, that absurd morganatic marriage.
Of all the crosses?
A scullery maid who will one day be the head of the House of Habsburg.
Of all the crosses? Franz, your wife murdered by anarchists. Your only son killed by his own hand. Your brother stood against the wall and shot in a Mexican prison. Oh, Franz.
Yes, you're perfectly right, as always.
I'm sorry. It's only that I have for so long admired your courage, your stoicism.
You mean that where my nephew is concerned, I don't behave correctly? Is that what you mean?
Well, he has waited 20 years. 25.
For me to die, true. Well, the Prince of Wales was a grey-haired old gentleman before Victoria had the decency, the kindness to... Everybody dies, why can't I? Clearly, I'm not old enough to die and too old to change. And the joke is, the Archduke is actually afraid to go.
Afraid?
Though I've no doubt that his house guest at Kronopisch, the German Kaiser, will hear a different tale.
Franz Ferdinand afraid to go to Bosnia.
Can't stand the heat, he says. Though I know better. We are at all times in mortal danger, and we must put our faith in the Almighty. Well, I told him he could please himself so naturally. Now he's chosen to go. 8 o'clock. I regret I must leave you, my angel.
Of course.
Have I your permission to call on you again tomorrow at 7?
You have, Majesty.
The heir to my throne, actually afraid to go to the provinces, imagines that some Servian revolutionary will throw a bomb at him. Or at the serving wench.
Yes. Very good. Chief of the General Staff, 10 minutes early.
Then he will have to wait 10 minutes.
Good morning, Count Conrad.
Morning. How's the Emperor?
A little mild catarrh, Count.
Ah.
And the High Chamberlain is in audience.
For how much longer?
10 minutes. Apologies. 8.5 minutes, General.
Very well.
Which brings me to another delicate matter, Majesty.
Yes? Oh, but pardon, dear Count, but 8 minutes.
To be sure, Majesty. The protocol affecting the children, the imperial and royal children of the imperial and royal household residing at the Hofburg.
Yes, yes.
As Majesty is aware, the protocol prescribes that on each occasion that one of the imperial and royal children passes through the courtyard and corridors,
Yes.
that on each such occasion the guards shall present arms, salute, and sound drums. Also, that the imperial and royal flag shall be lowered.
Yes.
It has been suggested to me, Majesty,
Yes.
that as the imperial and royal children are rather numerous, may the good God bless their highnesses, and in some cases so young indeed that they still have to be moved in perambulating carriages,
Yes, Count.
that in view of the fact that they have this extreme youth, as it were, the regulations might be,
Yes.
modified a little, so that only those dukes and duchesses who have been declared of age need be saluted in this, elaborate fashion.
Yes, continue.
One has Majesty's permission to modify the protocol?
One has not, Count. Such modifications could be interpreted as a slight against the dynasty. The regulation will remain precisely what it has always been, unchanged.
As Majesty commands.
And I must ask you, dear Count, not to bring this before us again. Oh, that reminds me. The Archduke Franz Ferdinand's request that upon his ascension to the throne, his morganatic wife should be entitled to be addressed as Imperial Highness is refused. Well, that is to say, it will await review at a later date. Is that all?
Oh, one last item, Majesty. The Ishal Imperial and Royal Theatre is holding a gala for the purpose of demonstrating the improved kinetophone.
The what?
Moving pictures, Majesty.
Moving pictures? Oh, another one of those mechanical monstrosities like the motor car, the telephone.
Your Majesty's attendance at this spectacle has been especially requested.
Requested by whom?
In view of His Imperial Majesty Kaiser Wilhelm's visit, it was thought...
Thought by Franz Ferdinand, no doubt. Yes. Well, why not the flea circus? Still, if you insist, Kaiser Wilhelm must not imagine that the Empire lags behind Germany in mechanical devices. He must be entertained. That is in addition to the hunting excesses provided by my nephew. Thank you for your courtesy in coming to see me, dear Count.
Majesty.
Count Konrad von Herzendorf.
Majesty?
Good morning, Count. Thank you for your courtesy in coming to see me. Your memorandum. You paint, if I may say so, a somewhat bleak picture
Certain facts, Majesty.
of unrest in various areas. The Czechs, you say, are in an uproar against our policies in the Balkans. The Ruthenians complain of Polish repression. The Poles themselves are straining at the leash for greater independence. Acts of high treason in Trieste. Increasing Russian support for ever-growing nationalistic tendencies. Yes. You were about to say, Count?
Majesty, we are in the gravest danger of encirclement. Serbia, Romania, Montenegro are all hostile to the monarchy. In the pursuit of their aggressive aims, they are encouraged by the Russians and the French. Our only ally on the south, Italy, remains, alas, unreliable. And such support as one might hope to receive from Germany is cancelled out by customary British machinations.
And your advice, Count?
We must look to our defenses, Majesty.
That also appears to be my foreign minister's view. But then clearly you consulted him before you sent me this.
Majesty?
Yes. You know, Count, we have occupied this unenviable position for over 60 years. We have faced worse than a little unrest here, a little intrigue there, much worse. Insurgency, revolution. Oh, you may rest assured we have not forgotten 1848. The monarchy survived then, it will survive now. The lesson has been learned.
Yes, Majesty.
What matters is this. The national aspirations of all my peoples must be satisfied without weakening central control. The monarchy.
As Chief of the Imperial General Staff, Majesty, my primary aim has always been to strengthen the monarchy.
We are glad to hear it.
And that is why, Majesty, I see the need for a demonstration of military energy, a new approach.
Energy? New approach? You are beginning to talk exactly like my nephew, Count. Then, as you are no doubt well aware, we favor the energy of patience.
Indeed, Majesty.
I see here, by the way, that my nephew has sought from you certain military information concerning our present military dispositions.
In preparation for the visit of His Imperial Majesty Kaiser Wilhelm, the Archduke thought...
Thought? Military deployments would not appear as yet within the Archduke's province, eh?
Yes, Majesty.
Enter. Thank you, Keter.
If Majesty wishes me to retire.
It is my experience that in his admirable zealousness, the Archduke occasionally occupies himself with matters well beyond the call of his duties.
Yes, Majesty.
After 6 decades of beneficent rule, it has pleased the Almighty to call my exalted uncle, His Majesty and King Franz Joseph, to a higher station. Rent with anguish, pain, no, anguish. The hearts of our people stand beside his final resting place, ever grateful for his fatherly love, his sublime spiritual values, his ever-present sense of duty, his goodness and passion for peace. It will be our task to pursue the aims of our late great emperor and to continue his noble life's work to keep the peace. Ever to keep the peace. Ever. Always provided that neither existence nor honor of the monarchy is threatened.
Very good.
And to dedicate our life exclusively to the welfare of our peoples. We shall show the same love to all our peoples, regardless of class, faith, and religion.
Legally recognized religion, perhaps.
A good point, Willie. Yes. Yes, legally recognized religion. High or low, rich or poor, before our throne, all will be regarded as equals. In fraternal love, the people of the monarchy, bound together by tradition.
You don't exaggerate, France. You really do have the most beautiful roses in Europe. Do go on.
That's all for the moment. I intend to round off the text when,
When the tragic event occurs.
quite. To write the final draft at this point before might to some appear
Tactless.
callous.
Oh, my dear friend, your uncle is 84. Thank you. It's perfectly correct to be prepared for the worst.
And you really think this text adequate?
More than adequate. Well, perhaps a few ingratiating phrases such as holding on to what we have, whatever the cost, they like that sort of thing, you know.
And the mob?
As ruler of Germany, I've never found it disadvantageous to be popular with the mob.
Surely, Willie. Popularity cannot be the first prerequisite of the monarch. No. An emperor needs to be feared. I shall expect my orders to be carried out, not discussed. Uncle has sacrificed everything to be popular, to be liked. And the result? Crumbling empire.
quite. Even so.
Unfortunately, Willie, to be ingratiating is not a gift which the good Lord has seen fit to bestow upon me in a very generous measure.
Oh, well, you underestimate yourself, Franz. Surely with a wife as charming as the Princess von Hohenburg.
Oh, my dear Willie, nothing, but nothing during your visit here has given me greater pleasure than the affectionate respect which you've shown my darling Soph.
Oh, but the Archduchess is absolutely delightful in every way. I insist that you bring her with you to Berlin when you next visit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, no.
You can't imagine the humiliations to which Uncle continues to subject me.
His Majesty is obsessed with protocol.
No, he hates Sophie. He wants to wound her. He won't address a civil word to her. He calls her the scullery maid behind my back.
Incredible.
And yet, the most intelligent thing I ever did in my life was to marry my darling Soph. Well, you've seen for yourself. She's everything to me. Wife, advisor, doctor, my entire happiness. Oh, my dear Willie, your kind words have given me new courage. With Sophie by my side, and you, a trusted friend and ally, we shall move mountains.
Yes, indeed. Meanwhile, your uncle is in perfect health.
Yes, but...
May I?
Oh, good.
I see that recently in Parliament you've been referred to as His Majesty's loyal opposition. Now, tread carefully, my boy, step by step.
Oh, they're all on my side, Willie, all of them. Conrad is in my pocket, the rest will follow. They know, you see, that in a year or two, it is me they will have to deal with.
In a year or two?
Oh, you're quite right, of course. Oh. As usual, yes, I am too impulsive. One never can be quite sure whom to trust. One is surrounded by sycophants. At first sight, everyone one meets appears to be angelic. And then too late, one finds one has been too trusting.
Trust your own divine intelligence, Franz. And remember, the major task for our two empires, mine and soon yours...
My first major task, Willie, will be to unite all the nationalities in my empire behind me. Now, Uncle's present dualism of Austria-Hungary cannot be allowed to continue now. We must create a third member state embracing all our Slav peoples. Here, let me show you. The Slavs, the Serbs, the Croats. Eventually, we will create a genuine federation of the Central European states like the United States of America.
This is tasks for tomorrow, Franz. Our first duty must be, as emperors, to uphold the principles of monarchy. Habsburgs, Hohenzollerns, Romanovs. We are the only real bulwark against the rising tides of liberalism, democracy, and worse. That bulwark must come first.
To be sure, really. Precisely what Uncle believes. Only the vital...
Progress, of course, is vital. I am, as you know, a dedicated reformer. Without doubt, the most progressive ruler in Europe.
No one would deny that.
But progress, my friend, must be tempered by strength. You don't really imagine, do you, that those Slavs of yours are going to be fobbed off with the carrot of a little independence within your empire? They want more, Franz, and still more. And then they'll go looking for support beyond your frontiers. Fortunately, Russia can help only with words. So you keep them in their place, those little flag-waving minorities of yours. That's my advice to you. Believe me, the only language those Serbian dervishes understand, the iron fist.
Imperial Majesty, Your Imperial Highness, luncheon is served.
Well, that's that. Excellent play act as the Italian soldiery, eh?
I did enjoy it.
Most entertaining, I thought, and enlightening.
I already prophesied a great future for the kinetic role when I was visiting New York.
Did you indeed?
Sophie would also enjoy the spectacle, I'm sure.
I'm sure her cold will be better in the morning.
No doubt, no doubt. Diplomatic colds usually clear up overnight.
Your wife is a member of the family circle. That is a matter of principle. You will appreciate, however, that it is difficult to reconcile her presence with long-established protocol and functions of this nature. I'm tired. My best wishes for your hunting expedition tomorrow.
What's the delay, Codwitz?
Your Royal Highness, Your Imperial Majesty.
It's quite intolerably hot, Cotwitz. You're aware that I can't stand the heat. Makes me ill.
The hottest summer for 32 years, Your Royal Highness.
You can't change the weather, Cotwitz, but you can produce the quarry. Kindly do so. Well, Domfield, what is it now? From Colonel Bardell. Your Royal Highness' departure from Bosnia after the maneuvers will now have to be advanced by an hour. Incredible. Otherwise, it will be impossible to make the proper train connections. Kindly inform Colonel Bardolph at my chancellery that should he further spoil our taste for our Bosnian journey by these constant inconveniences, he can hold his maneuvers without me. And tell him further that I've decided to set a day aside, June the 28th, for a reception at Sarajevo. This, inform the Colonel, has nothing to do with him. It will be a purely private, non-military affair with a lady present who deserves some recognition. Understood? That'll show these Bosnian idiots.
Sarajevo, on June the 28th. That's the Serbs' national holiday.
Exactly, Billy. I intend to show Uncle once and for all that when I go out to the provinces, I shall do exactly this.
Brave man.
I trust in God. Really? Well, Codwitz! The rabbits, man! The rabbits! Here they come.
Only 3 more performances of the Count of Luxembourg.
Boring.
And then a revival of the Merry Widow.
Another. You know, I do wish they could the Dollar Princess again. Ya la 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 ram, ya la 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 ram. Ya la 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 ram. Yes. Yes, Count. What? Telegram from where? You're quite... Yes. Who's going to... yes, Count, in an hour. Yes, I see. To Archduke Karl, of course. Yes, at once. I'll see to it instantly. Yes, of course. Of course.
What is it?
Look, a girl. did say chicken, my dear. I suppose it will arrive in its own good time.
I really can't imagine what... I'll go and ask Steffi.
No, my darling. There's no need to trouble yourself. We have all the time in the world. If there's been another disaster in the kitchen...
But a baked chicken. Well, not even Steffi could...
Imperial Highness, this has just arrived.
For me? On a Sunday?
Has something gone wrong in the kitchen? Oh, no, Imperial Highness. Well, I'm afraid... You see, Steffi fell and dropped the cucumber salad.
Oh, dear. Well, tell Steffi we shall do without the cucumber salad.
Mama?
Who is it from?
From Rumerskirch. That's odd. He's with Uncle Franz in Bosnia. Deeply regret that His Imperial Highness and the Countess Sophie were both assassinated here today.
What do you mean? Why? Are they... where?
What?
All possible aid was given, Majesty. But it...
Both? Appalling.
Majesty.
You see, you cannot provoke the Almighty with impunity. A higher authority has restored order.
Order?
The order I failed so lamentably to maintain in my own household. How did the Archduke?
I'm informed like a soldier, Majesty.
Well, that was to be expected.
His last recorded words were addressed to the Duchess. Don't go, Soph. Stay alive for the children's sake. And then he...
The maneuvers, they went well?
Yes, Majesty.
Enter.
Majesty, Count Parr. His Imperial Highness the Archduke Karl. Would the Adjutant General wish to...
Majesty, I would be more than happy to take on the burden.
To speak at this time to the heir to our throne is clearly my privilege. Hello? Carl? Can you hear me? What? Yes, true. Quite true. We must not question the wisdom of God, Carl. What? It's useless. Tell him not to come to Ishal.
Majesty prefers Imperial Highness not to take the trouble of coming to Ishal.
It would upset Zita, her condition.
The journey, Imperial Highness, might inconvenience her Imperial Highness.
Ask after his health.
May I reassure His Majesty that His Imperial Highness's own health is... thank you. Of course, Imperial Highness.
And the little one.
And the Archduke Otto? Thank you, Imperial Highness. I shall, most certainly.
Request that he meet me in Vienna tomorrow.
Majesty trusts that Imperial Highness will be able to confer with His Majesty in Vienna tomorrow. Good.
God bless you, my boy. Count Parr.
Majesty.
We regret we shall have to change the day's arrangements.
Spared nothing, am I? At least of one thing I can be sure. On you, my boy, I can rely. It may have all been for the best. Well, That's one worry less.
Majesty's...
Tired, but in full control. By those exhausting train journeys backwards and forwards, he's scarcely slept at all. Now then, about the funeral arrangements...
Oh, in hand. The imperial and royal remains have been taken by train to the coast, thence by one of our battleships to Trieste. Now there...
It's all very delicate, Count.
Pardon? What is it?
For the late Archduke, as you know, let it be known that he wished to be buried side by side with the Archduchess at Artstetten.
Ah, yes, indeed.
Out of the question. Side by side is out of the question. Her Majesty insists...
Oh, yes, but surely...
Her Majesty will simply not hear of it. That a mere Countess Chotek should spend her eternal rest side by side with a Habsburg is... Now, I am therefore making arrangements for Sophie Chotek's coffin to be placed at a lower level than her husband's in the imperial vaults. A pair of white gloves and a fan, nothing else, are to be placed on the coffin.
The symbols of the lady-in-waiting.
Precisely. Moreover, the funeral itself is to be kept, well, within modest limits.
Modest limits? Count, several members of the Tsar's family have already left for Vienna. I mean, the funeral...
No royalty.
Well, the Kaiser Wilhelm will most certainly...
Kaiser Wilhelm has already been advised that in view of the explosive internal situation, we cannot guarantee his absolute security.
Yes, but surely...
Majesty insists. No royalty, no imperial relations, certainly no one of any consequence from England, and, above all, no formal military parade.
In other words, for the late heir to the Habsburg throne, funeral third class.
What can one do?
Well, one might have thought if only to soothe feelings of outrage a meeting between monarchs could not have come at a more opportune moment.
Oh, Majesty is adamant.
Morning.
Ah,
Majesty's expecting you, General.
Train was late. Confounded schlamperer.
Any news from Vienna?
More riots outside the Serbian legation. The police have had to send reinforcements.
No, disgraceful.
But what did you expect, Count? You can't fool the man in the street. He knows.
Knows?
That the assassination of the Archduke was ordered by the Serbian government. Inadequate precautions by the Bosnian authorities. Eyewash.
There is as yet no concrete evidence.
The bombs used by the murderers were made in Serbia. What more evidence do you need? Very imaginative, two of our rioters. Tossed live frogs at the mounted police to upset the horses. Protecting Serb property. We should be blowing it up. Only good Serb I know is the one with his throat slit from ear to ear.
Majesty is ready.
Gentlemen.
Well, then, I shall take the next train back to Vienna. Will you excuse me, Count? Please be so good as to convey my most distinguished compliments to the Countess.
Thank you. We shall no doubt meet at the funeral, Count.
It will indeed be difficult to be overlooked.
For the monarchy, Majesty, it cannot simply be a question of turning the other cheek to this ultimate Serbian atrocity. If I may say so, Majesty, we should not even be solely concerned with punishing a cold-blooded political murder.
What then do you suggest, Count?
If I may be blunt, Majesty, the time has come for a practical demonstration of the prestige of a world power. A world power, moreover, which has been patient and compliant for so long that a certain impression of weakness, even impotence, becomes inescapable. We dare not yield yet again, Majesty. The monarchy demands. The people demand.
What do they demand, Count?
With profound respect, Majesty, preventive localized action against the Serbs has become unavoidable.
And how, with profound respect, Count, is Serbia's ally Russia likely to respond to your localized action?
Hasty reaction on the part of the Tsar, Majesty, must surely be cancelled out by Kaiser Wilhelm's overpowering support of the Austro-Hungarian cause. The Sarajevo assassination places us in a uniquely happy position to act.
Sometimes, Count, It is wiser to trust in the Almighty to restore justice and order.
I would respectfully hazard a guess, Majesty, that the Almighty's grand design would not be undermined by swift and unequivocal action on our part. A clear call to arms. A declaration of a state of emergency.
General mobilization against Serbia. Is that what you're asking? You clearly foresee all the consequences of your fervor, Count. I regret. We cannot say the same for ourselves. No. I won't do it. I cannot.
Our diplomatic note to Berlin. May I at least give instructions?
Yes. Very well. Our friend the Kaiser must remain informed.
Oh, the left sleeve longer. 3,5 centimeters. No, 4. No, 4,5 centimeters. Yeah, good, good. And now for the Reichschancellor.
Imperial Majesty.
Yes, Pittman Holwick.
Your Majesty, His Excellency, the Austrian ambassador has just arrived for the déjeuner.
Good, good. We'll lunch then.
Have I permission to place before His Majesty the note which has just arrived from our ambassador in Vienna?
Oh, yes, yes. Let's see it. Count Czerski really must be reminded to express himself more briefly.
Well, if I have your Imperial Majesty's permission to summarize.
Yes.
His Excellency frequently hears the wish expressed in governing circles in Vienna that a final and fundamental reckoning with Serbia...
I should think so, Chancellor. What? Now or never?
However, His Excellency's personal view, which he has expressed in conversations in Vienna...
Personal view?
Or the view that Serbia might, in the first place, be presented with a note listing certain demands.
To authorize Czerski to express his personal view to the Austrian court.
If His Imperial Majesty will permit. Count Czerski believes that only if the Serbs fail to meet such demands as may be submitted, should energetic measures be adopted.
What? Huh? I take every opportunity to advise them against too hasty action. None of his damn business. Whatever action the Austrians take will be decided upon by His Apostolic Majesty Franz Joseph. It's absolutely monstrous. Tell Czerski to be good enough to stop all this weak-kneed nonsense. If anything should go wrong, they'll all say that Germany was afraid to act. These Serbian savages must be disposed of. Is that clear? Eliminated at once. Well, now I'm ready to see His Excellency, the Austrian ambassador.
But Imperial...
At once.
Imperial Majesty. Reichschancellor.
Excellency.
Appalling news, Excellency, appalling. In the name of Germany, allow me to express our most sincere condolences. The Archduke was my very dear friend. But somebody will pay for this cowardly act of murder. On that you may rely.
Deeply touched, Imperial Majesty. In the name of His Imperial and Royal Majesty, whose personal note I...
Yes, yes, it was received and read and discussed exhaustively with my Chancellor. Our absolute support of the Austrian cause remains. A matter of honor.
Imperial Majesty is too kind.
Yes, but we go further. We would view with extreme concern any further delay in punishing the Serbs.
Imperial Majesty, my Emperor is no doubt hesitating, rather reviewing the situation with a view to possible Russian reactions.
Russia is in no position to take any military actions. And my cousin the Tsar will certainly think twice before provoking me. And he would certainly not wish to align himself with this pathetic rabble of assassins.
After their disastrous little Japanese adventure, Excellency, the Russians would hardly venture to...
Quite. And as for the French, totally unprepared to my certain knowledge. No heavy artillery, correct?
Imperial Majesty.
Which leaves us to consider our English cousins, Bateman Holweg.
The English, thanks to the wisdom of Majesty's policy, can no longer boast of naval supremacy.
You see.
In case, now that is to say, should the worst at any time come to the worst where England is concerned...
What?
Fortunately, Excellency, the English are likely for an unforeseeable period to remain preoccupied with the vexed problem of Ireland.
Imperial Majesty, am I to understand that His Imperial Majesty is saying...
I am saying, Excellency, that by now your armies could have been in occupation of Belgrade. And that would have been the end of the affair. No one would have dared to interfere. As all Europe knows, I am, first and foremost, a man of peace. But there are limits. I am not entirely naive as to the consequences of war. But even you, Excellency, will agree, will you not, that there does come a time when a great power, Austria, Hungary, can no longer merely stand by, but must reach for the sword.
But Imperial Majesty...
So, convey my deepest personal regard to your Emperor. We consider our part in this affair to be now at an end. And now luncheon. Tomorrow we are leaving for Kiel. Do you enjoy the sport of yachting, Excellency?
Well...
Ah, pity. Weather looks promising. And if the Tsar can see fit to take himself on holiday at a time like this, I feel honor bound to do the same. Oh, courage, Excellency, courage. The wind is in our favor. All is well.
Thank you for the beautiful flowers, my dearest friend.
Come. Try and rest a little.
These are difficult times. I am now told, that is to say, Conrad tells me, that Kaiser Wilhelm has given us a blank check.
How many hours did you sleep last night?
A blank check to make war on the Serbs, and if necessary, on Russia and France and England.
The whole world knows that you would never act unwisely or hastily.
If only, that is to say, if we could at least detach England from her French and Russian allies. We cannot fight the whole world alone.
Oh, you're not alone.
Oh, now, more than ever, my dear friend. You see, he didn't really want to go to Bosnia, to the maneuvers. Just wanted to preen himself by the side of that woman of his. It was she who made him go to Sarajevo. The worm in the apple.
Please, dearest.
Well, will be. It was my duty to prevent that marriage. My duty before the Almighty.
Now, you must not despair.
I see only the darkness. The darkness ahead. Conrad, Berthold, they're all quite determined.
Must it really come to...
The midwife of history, my most able foreign minister once wrote, is violence.
You haven't answered me. Must it be?
Oh, my dear friend, I'm so tired. So tired. I suppose it must be.
Oh, yes. To our ambassador in St. Petersburg. Not coded. Let me see. The tragedy which has just taken place in Sarajevo, Sarajevo, will not, His Majesty's government trusts, lead to further complications.
On July the 29th, 1914, Austrian armies attacked Belgrade, capital of the small Balkan state of Serbia. The Serbs asked Russia for help. Tsar Nicholas appealed to Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany to save the peace. But Germany supported Austria, and in the next 2 days, the Russian and German armies began to mobilize. On August the 1st, Kaiser Wilhelm telegraphed to the Tsar, earnestly entreating him to hold back his troops.
It's a telegram from Uncle Billy.
Yes. Yes, I know, Anastasia.
On the same day, Germany declared a state of war with Russia.
He was never sincere. Never.
On August the 3rd, Germany attacked Belgium and France. On August the 4th, Britain declared war on Germany. On August the 6th, Emperor Franz Joseph of Austria signed a declaration of war on Russia.
I solemnly swear that I will never make peace so long as a single enemy remains on Russian soil.
Under its president, Rodzianko, the Imperial Duma, Russia's powerless parliament, supported the war with enthusiasm. When a cousin of the Tsar, Grand Duke Nicholas, a respected and popular soldier, was created commander-in-chief of all Russian forces, the Duma unanimously voted a huge military budget.
Ah, Rodzianko! Ah, Grand Duke! I am your friend till death. I'll do anything for the Duma.
As German troops advanced towards Paris, Russia's army of 1.5 million men moved up to the Eastern Front on the few, poor railways of their vast band. On August the 21st, when only the River Marne lay between the Germans and Paris, the French, through their ambassador, asked Russia to join the fight at once. The Russian First and Second Armies struck in the north. The German High Command sent 2 army corps from France under 2 of its greatest generals, Hindenburg and Ludendorff, and defeated them utterly.
We are happy to have made such sacrifices for our allies.
Yes.
We shall survive our misfortune. One battle does not win a war. Here we are advancing.
Against the Austrians.
Yes, but we need ammunition, heavy guns, more trained troops, food for the troops, boots even. An army cannot march without boots. The supply and training services are beneath contempt.
I'll see what can be done.
There are no medical services.
The Empress herself.
It is not enough that Alexandra works for the Red Cross. The whole nation must join this war, and the government must lead them and have their confidence and support us. Half my troubles are caused in Petrograd.
Only half.
There is nothing wrong with the Imperial Army, but unless it is supported, it will die.
At all events, the Grand Duke thinks I ought to change the government.
Know that I do not trust Nicolasha. He is not very clever, and he tries to dominate you.
He's a fine general.
Nicky, he curries favor.
Could make yourself useful and turn the pages for Tatiana. He's a good chap.
And he imposes on your ministers with his loud voice and gesticulations. No one knows who is Tsar anymore, you or Nicolasha.
That is not true.
The war will not go well so long as he is there. Our friend is certain of it.
Then our friend does not approve of the war.
He offered to come here and bless the troops.
But Rasputin?
And hang some rare icon here. I wrote back to him, "Do come, I'll hang you." We have enough troubles without that, Rodzianko. I've not enough rifles, not enough shells. There are no communications. For months now, I've been holding a line of 1,000 miles with half-armed, half-trained troops. Men cannot fight against the German guns with bayonets. Where is everything?
We're doing all we can, Your Highness, but we're opposed all the time by the Tsar's ministers.
I can believe it.
You see, there are plenty of factories that can make munitions, but their offers are refused. The government factories are only working at half speed. The government won't allow us to move goods from one area to another. Anyway, we can't get trucks unless you bribe the railway officials with vodka. There's nothing but repression and corruption in Petrograd. Your Highness is lucky to be here.
It makes me sick. It makes me sick at the heart.
My son is in the Guards Army, sir. He tells me they've lost most of their best officers already. The last time his regiment went into action, they lost a third of their men. They gained a few versts of ground, which they later had to abandon. Sometimes I wonder what right we have to send our young men into it.
Through the summer of 1915, the Germans pounded the Russian line, forcing it eastwards. On August the 5th, Warsaw fell. On September the 9th, Vilna. In the words of the Grand Duke Nicholas, the army is drowning in its own blood. By autumn, the Russians had lost nearly 4 million men. They dug in a new line, which held. The Tsar sent for General Alexeyev, the outstanding field commander from the Northern Front.
What's the feeling amongst the troops?
They will still fight for God and their Tsar.
We have these men.
But how often can the army renew itself, sir? We need nearly everything.
I know.
We have no aeroplanes. And General Headquarters.
Yes, I know. I'm going to recommend to the Grand Duke he make you his chief of staff.
He will not have me, Your Majesty. He thinks there should be a dictator, sir.
I am the ruler, General Alexeyev.
Give me strength.
I've made up my mind. And so, gentlemen, now that the enemy has penetrated far into the empire, my duty to the country which God has committed to my keeping ordains that I assume supreme control of the fighting forces, share the burdens and trials of war with my army, and help it to protect Russian soil against the onslaught of the foe. I leave for General Headquarters in the morning.
Don't wear yourself out, lovey.
Alexeyev will be my chief of staff. He'll see that everything's done. And you must be my eyes and ears in Petrograd. I rely on you for the truth. Send the little one to me as soon as you can.
Will he be safe, Nicky?
Oh, yes. I'll look after him. If he's good, I'll make him a corporal. God keep you.
And you, my darling.
My ministers will send their reports to you.
And the Duma. Must I talk to those upstarts?
Oh, no. I've empowered the Premier to dissolve it.
Vladimirovich.
Yes, Alexander Dmitrievich.
So the Duma is dissolved. What will you do now, with no voice?
I shall continue working for the war through the voluntary councils of the people, so far as we're allowed to. It's a disaster that the only National Assembly of the people should be closed. You should know that. There should be a delegation to the Tsar.
Which you would lead? For what purpose, my dear fellow?
To tell him that the government is a scandal, and the war will be lost, and the government will be lost, unless he puts his house in order.
He has taken up arms.
His place is here in Petrograd, not 500 miles away. The country's collapsing here, as well as at the front, where the poor shiver and queue for food that doesn't come.
The hardships of war.
If they have no help and no voice, the people will rise.
Then they must be put down. Maybe I should be able to do something.
What can you do?
I am to be appointed Minister for the Interior.
You, my dear Protopopov, are Vice President of the Duma.
It was a surprise to me, too. I'd always hoped, perhaps, for a governorship, but... Are you angry?
I am very angry indeed. The Duma took an oath that none of its members would serve office under this government. You have betrayed it, and you'll be able to do nothing. You would never dare.
There it is. Minister for the Interior. I shall make some changes. You better watch out. I have friends at court, you know.
You get mad every day.
Come in.
Those are the copies made for your Majesty.
Thank you, Alexei.
May I see?
No. Well, only battle reports.
If your Imperial Highness would care to see the Preobrazhensky Guard drilling.
May I, Papa?
Yes, go on. There goes half my sadness. And a great deal of my joy.
If your Majesty would care to follow me. General Brusilov will attack here, over the Carpathians once again. This time, we hope, to Vienna.
When?
In June, sir.
No. That's not soon enough. I shall go for my usual walk this afternoon. I have to consider some ministerial changes.
Those papers are for your Majesty's eyes only, please. By your leave, sir. If your Majesty is contemplating making changes, it would be better to replace the Premier and his new Minister of the Interior, Protopopov. That man's ridiculous.
General Alexeyev. These are loyal men.
If only I had him here, I could convince him to away from me. He is so vulnerable. And he listens to everybody. Has the Minister of the Interior arrived?
Yes, he's waiting on Your Majesty.
I'll send him in.
Very well.
Dear Protopopov, his ideas are good, but I think he lacks confidence. I shall encourage him. Good morning.
Good morning, Your Majesty.
Thank you for coming, Alexander Dmitrievich.
I hope Your Majesty slept better last night.
No, I slept very badly. My heart. But we mustn't worry. God will look after me. I understand that you had to punish some soldiers who fired on the police in Petrograd.
Yes, ma'am. There was a small food riot
We sent troops to disperse it, but they fired on the police instead. They were low-caliber reservists. 150 of them are to be executed. I've signed the order. I prayed to my icon for guidance, and then I signed.
It is very sad, but you did the right thing. We must be firm. Sit down, my dear man. You look very tired.
I had a strange night, Your Majesty. I went to bed much worried by the problem. But in the middle of the night, I awoke with a very strong sense of our friend's presence.
Father Gregory was with you.
Not in the flesh, you understand, but in the spirit, yes. Yes, the spirit. I felt his wisdom and his strength. It's as though he was saying, do not worry, all will be well.
I know. I, too, have had that experience.
I fell into a deep sleep. And when I woke this morning, an immediate solution to all the problems presented itself. It was like a miracle. I hope I am humble, Your Majesty. Yes, humble. But it came to me this morning that with Grigori's help, I may save Russia.
But how?
I haven't worked out the details yet. I'm drawing graphs.
My father handed me his power unbroken, and I must keep it and pass it to my son, to Alexis. That is my duty. I didn't want it, God knows, and I'm burdened with it.
Nicky, you haven't been an autocrat since 1905. That's what you and Alexandra don't seem to realize. She especially. And she has the worst possible advisors.
You all find fault with Alex.
On the contrary, I'm fond of her. She's a beautiful woman. I'm sure she's an excellent wife and mother. But that is her sphere. For heaven's sake, Nicky, make her stay there. She's hated in Petrograd. They call her the German woman.
Oh, that damnable.
Send her away, Nicky.
Send her away.
Let her live on your Crimean estates until the war is over. She'll be quite happy there.
She'd be miserable. Besides, I need her in Petrograd.
We must be strong and face everything together. How immensely dear you are to me. How is baby? I long to see him. Cuddle and kiss him for me.
My darling little wifey. It is peaceful here, and the little one and I are both well. I'm sending you my cascara bottle to be refilled. Please ask our friend not to interfere in military matters which he does not understand. When I read your letters, my eyes are moist.
Your Majesty.
Tsarina trusts me completely. Stay here when the rest have gone.
But would that not be sin?
Oh, sin is one of God's instruments. We are all sinners, my dear. But the greater the sin, the greater the redemption, if we believe. There is more joy in heaven.
Have you ever seen God, Grigori?
I've seen the Holy Mother. When I was a young man, I was working in the fields at Pokrovskoy in Siberia. It's my village. I was working in the father's fields one warm day in spring. I looked up. There was a dazzling white light. And in the light stood the Virgin Mary. She wore a dark purple dress with a veil.
Like the image of Our Lady in Kazan Cathedral.
Well, that's right. Well, I did not know that then. She looked at me. and move the arms like this. I didn't know what that meant, so I consulted the holy man. He told me that I should make a long pilgrimage. Since then, I've walked to all the holy places. The things that I have seen. What's your name?
Munia.
Oh, stay here, Munia, when the rest have gone. Leave a note with your husband's name. The ministers will find a job for him, and Manus will give him money. He's a banker. And let us dance. Why don't we dance? God gave us legs to dance with and sing. God gave us voices. I want some music, some live.
Holy Father, you are wanted, Holy Father.
Huh?
At the door. Do not worry. Do not worry. The Holy Father has the protection of the police. Everything will be transformed. I have the confidence of the House people. I shall make many new arrangements.
You must forgive me, my friends. I must leave you. I'm called to Saskoye Selo, to the Imperial Palace.
The doctors did what they could for him, but the journey was bad. He's been so well.
Pray. There, my little cherub, be a brave soldier.
Where's the child?
Here, Father.
He is better now. He will soon be well.
How is the Tsarevich, sir?
Oh, he's well.
Oh, good, good. I heard he had a cold.
Yes, he was always delicate. Do please sit down.
Oh, thank you.
Well, what have you to tell me, Mikhail Vladimirovich?
The news from the front is still bad, Your Majesty.
It's not good. You have any ideas?
I implore Your Majesty to reconvene the Duma.
Why?
To give Your Majesty support. The people will be disturbed by another defeat, and they know the government is incapable of preventing it.
And the Duma will bring us victory.
Have I Your Majesty's permission to speak freely? See, were Your Majesty's ministers capable men of independent views whose sole aim was the support of the country, then the public would respect them. But the few honest ones are not listened to, and most of the others owe their posts to one man only.
What man?
The false starets, Grigory Rasputin.
You think he's false?
Generally thought so, sir. His debauchery, his association with people of low repute.
Yes, I know. I know all that.
It is said, sir, that he wants Russia to make a separate peace. And even that Your Majesty does too.
That is a disgusting lie.
It is publicly said, sir, that the Empress acts for you and agrees to these things. I hear, sir, I am consulted by all manner of people.
What do you suggest?
Form a responsible ministry who will work with the Duma and listen to the people, and banish Rasputin from Petrograd. I speak from love of Your Majesty and of our beloved country.
Well, there may be something, my friend, in what you say, but Well, you exaggerate, I think.
At least, sir, give us a new premier. Boris Sturmer is not up to it. And I beg you, I implore you, get rid of Protopopov. He'll drive the country insane with his own insanity. He can talk of nothing but repression. He makes a muddle out of everything he touches.
Well, I rather like Protopopov, but Sturmer must go, yes. Others have said so. Now, whom would you recommend in his place? The Transport Minister, Trepov?
Trepov? Not outstanding, but is worthy. He would work with the Duma.
Very well, then.
Please do not think, Your Majesty, that I came with an ultimatum.
No. Thank you for being straightforward and courageous. Not everyone is so.
I have no influence now, Mikhail.
None of us have. Except Alexandra and her mad monk. You should have had her kidnapped and put in a convent. Make a plan, Nicholas.
You go too far. Mikhail Vladimirovich.
Sir.
Mikhail, this is Mikhail Vladimirovich Rodzianko, President of the Imperial Duma. Her Highness the Grand Duchess Maria Pavlovna.
How good of you to come.
I felt it was a royal command, Your Highness.
Well, sit down. Sit down. Give him a glass of champagne, Nikolasha. It has been necessary to form a family council to safeguard the dynasty which is being brought to the verge of ruin.
You think so, ma'am?
We all think so. My nephew, the Tsar, is well-meaning, but he's weak, and the government has become a bad joke.
Has Your Highness not heard that Sturmer has been dismissed?
He's not important.
Oh, thank you.
Protopopov is the Empress's go-between. He's as absurd as his name. Rasputin, after a few drunken hallucinations, gives his orders to Alexandra's hanger-on, Anna Verubova. Anna Verubova tells Alexandra, who instructs Protopopov, who simply does as he's told. Occasionally, which is a great bore for them, they have to telegraph the Tsar for his signature.
Can you exaggerate a little?
It is impossible to exaggerate where Alexandra is concerned.
I think we should have faith in our new premier, Trepov. He's absolutely opposed to Rasputin.
Nikolasha?
I know him well. He came to me for advice, and I told him to see the Tsar at army headquarters. Now, that's 500 miles away from the Tsarina.
But my dear man, she writes letters. All night. Because when Nikki's away, she never sleeps. Sheets and sheets of paper. Nikolasha's seen them, haven't you?
Uh-huh.
They're delivered every hour. Entreating this, insisting upon that, because Grigory Rasputin says so.
The poor one believes he's keeping her son alive.
What is the matter with the Tsarevich, sir?
He has hemophilia, inherited through his English grandmother.
Oh, I didn't know.
No one outside the court does.
If you think it's only because of the child she has this creature hanging round, you're being very kind. She's besotted by him. She didn't consider my son good enough for her dear innocent little daughters, but this filthy, lecherous beast has the run of the palace. No doors are closed to him, downstairs or up, as they say.
I'm sure Alexandra's far too straight-laced to have a lover, even a holy one.
He's in the pay of the Germans, everyone says so.
The only person the Empress might listen to is her sister, the Grand Duchess Sergei.
Ella would never leave her convent.
She might be persuaded. I'll go and see her.
I'm sure it'd be very helpful if you would, sir. Everyone respects the Grand Duchess.
Well, I tried to advise my niece when she first came to this country. I tried to teach her a little tact. Even an empress requires a little tact, I said. She went her own stiff-necked way, offending everyone with her autocratic manners and middle-class morals. Sunny, they call that grim woman. Sunny.
What can I possibly do, ma'am?
Now, you're president of the Duma, aren't you? You're a powerful man. And I'm sure you're all revolutionaries there.
Madam, if you think I'm a revolutionary, you're very much mistaken.
The Empress must be removed before she does any more damage. In my opinion, she should be annihilated.
Mihan, you go too far.
Now, don't tell me how or when. I prefer not to know, but if you can arrange this, you will have the gratitude and help of the entire family. Isn't that right?
Please allow me to forget what you've just said, Your Highness.
Yes, you're very polite, Mikhail Vladimirovich. But you won't be on our side if revolution comes, will you?
Madam, I trust that is an event which will never happen. Good night.
Good night.
Had a safe journey? Good. We rely on you now, Premier Trepov, for better government.
I shall do what is possible. Has His Majesty returned from Zaskoi Silo?
Yes.
When can I expect an audience?
This evening, probably.
Not before?
His Majesty likes to walk in the afternoons for the good of his bowels.
How is His Majesty?
Lonely, I think. When he first came here, he was frank and friendly. We thought we have our Tsar at last. He has freed himself from all the poison back there. But it followed him. You're scarcely an honest man around him. You know whom you're fighting.
I have some idea.
All the troops' letters. We read them are full of the Empress and Rasputin.
Could you not have advised his Tsar?
We have all given him advice. But there's a sort of vacancy. He stays for hours in his room doing nothing, pasting photographs into an album. He reminds me of a skull on an old battlefield that the wind blows through.
Ritty? Oh, yes. Yes, I agree with that. He's a good man. Ritty to replace Obrinsky at the Ministry of Agriculture. Well, we've done rather well. 3 ministers replaced in 15 minutes. It's nice to get these dreary decisions made quickly, isn't it?
Yes, sir. And then there is one more. Protopopov.
Ah, yes. I used to think so well of him, but of late he's been sending in somewhat muddled reports, graphs.
He is incapable of responsible action. Job is beyond him. He's become a laughingstock.
Indeed. That is very bad. Do you like lilies, Mr. Trepov?
Sir?
Such a sweet scent. The Empress sent them to me. When I sniff them, I can almost believe that I'm at home. I used to have the Tsarevich here too, you know, but he's not been well.
I'm sorry. If I might go on, sir.
Hmm? Oh, yes, you were saying. Protopopov, you think he should be replaced?
I couldn't work with him, sir. And he would be quite unacceptable to the rest.
I see.
Every day, the muddle over food distribution and everything else with which he's concerned grows worse. It's bad enough for whoever has to replace him.
You're probably right. Poor old Protopopov. Well, we'll talk about it again.
But, sir...
Well, it's a little late, isn't it, to discuss final decisions now?
Very good, Your Majesty. Sir, the Duma?
Oh, if you recommend it, I'll reconvene the Duma.
It isn't possible. Anya! Your Majesty. My angel, I would like to speak with Anya for a moment.
What is it, Mom?
Nicky writes, I am sorry for Protopopov, but it is risky to leave the Ministry of Internal Affairs in the hands of such a man. I beg you, do not bring our friend into this. The responsibility is with me. That means that the responsibility is with Trepov, of course. You see what they're trying to do? They are trying to do away with our friends. First Sturma, Now, Protopopov. Next, they will get rid of us.
No, Mom.
Oh, yes, that is what they want to do, Anya. They want to destroy us. Nicky hopes to settle this without me, and he is going to recall the Duma. Well, I will not be left out. Someone has got to think of the future. I have Alexis to think of. I can't get calm.
Please sit down.
Oh. No, I must think. I shall go to Army headquarters tomorrow. Tell Friedrichs to make the arrangements. And please send our friend in.
Yes, Your Majesty.
How is the little one?
Oh, bless me, Father Grigory. I must go to Papa.
I give you God's blessing.
He is dismissing Protopopov and recalling the Duma. They have advised him to.
Tell the little father he must keep the ministers who are loyal to him.
Well, it seems to me that our friend's ideas about people are sometimes very odd. Through his advice, I've lost a lot of good men who might have helped us. Let's not let fatigue get company.
What good men, Nicky?
Everybody tells me.
And you listen to everybody.
Perhaps I've listened to you for too long. I'm sorry, Sonny, I didn't mean to snap, but this business of choosing ministers is damnable. I sometimes think my head's going to burst.
If you would only listen to our friend, all would be clear to you. Can you not see that Trepov and the others want to see us friendless and alone, and that then they will get rid of us?
Oh, Sonny.
But they will, my love, unless we keep strong.
Trepov seems to me to be an honest, reliable sort of chap.
Nicky, everyone seems honest to you. You cannot see the wickedness around us, the envy, even in the family. But I can, and that is why they hate me so much, because they know that Sonny is strong, like a wall behind you. You give in about Protopopov, and you give in to them. Forgive me, my love, but I am fighting for your reign and for baby. That child was not given to us and spared through all his illnesses for nothing. But we must guard his inheritance and give it to him untouched.
Do you think that I don't realize that?
I know that it is difficult for you, my love. But you do have help. Father Grigory speaks for the millions of people who look to you to lead them, to save them. But you have turned your back on him.
I haven't.
Think of the number of times he has brought the little one back from the dead.
But that has nothing to do with government.
It has everything to do with government. Do you not realize that Father Grigory was sent by God to save the dynasty? That he uses him to speak to you and to guide you? If you would only listen. Nicky, it is not a question of Protopopov or XYZ, but it is your power that counts. These men should be coming to you with awe and fear to hear your will, not sitting here stating their terms and giving you advice.
Doesn't do to be always snapping and shouting.
I do not suggest that you snap. I suggest that you command. You are the emperor and autocrat of all the Russias. Why don't you feel it? You should never have allowed the Duma. Those brutes think they can speak to you as they like. Well, you must crush them under you, Nicky. You must be firm. Be Peter the Great. Be Ivan the Terrible. Do not laugh at me. I am in deadly earnest. It is time for saving your country and your child's throne. Oh, how I wish I could pour my will into your veins.
You do, my love. You strengthen me, but those old days, they're past.
Russia hasn't changed, Nicky. She still loves to feel the whip. And those who challenge your ideas must be removed. Rodzianko and many more. It is war with them all, my dearest, and we must fight. Doesn't your soul speak to you anymore, Nicky?
I simply want to do what is right.
Then trust me. Listen to our friend who is close to God. Do you dare turn away from his wisdom?
I'm so tired. I've never known things worse.
I know, my love. I know.
You were always my good angel.
Will you trust me then? Take our friend's advice and keep Protopopov.
If he refuses to dismiss him, I have only two choices open. I can either resign or come to an arrangement with Rasputin.
What possible arrangement could you make with that creature?
I shall offer him a large house in the country, all expenses paid, his own personal bodyguard, and 200,000 rubles. On condition he withdraws his support from Protopopov and stops interfering.
He won't accept.
Perhaps you can think of a better suggestion. You're always full of plans.
No.
Ah, my dear Mikhail Vladimirovich. So your assembly of talkers is open again. Not that it will be taken any notice of. The government serves the Tsar and Tsarina. Still, let me congratulate you.
Never and nowhere. You repel me.
My beloved angel, we have lived through so much together in these 20 years. But I see great and glorious things ahead for your reign and for Russia. Ella has come to visit us. I do not know why, so I must stop this for a while.
It's so cold. Shall we go in? You must rid yourselves of Rasputin. Nicky won't, because he thinks of you. You are the one who must do it.
I could not endure my life without him. He is my strength. He keeps me calm.
You are strong. Put your trust in God, as you once did, and stand alone.
But my soul needs him.
Oh, it's not your soul. You're obsessed, Sonny. Open your eyes, for the country's sake, and the family.
So, it is the family who have sent you.
Oh, well, they are concerned.
They all want to see us brought down.
You are unfair.
Mihen wants her son to be the Tsar, and that is her concern.
I came only because I am your sister.
That is not true. You may go back, and you may tell them that your visit has been in vain. You must go now. You are making me ill.
I will never give up Father Gregory.
Grigori Efimovich, I'm making you a good offer.
You're a simpleton. Do you think Mama and Papa will let you... The Tsar and the Empress will let you do what you like. Money? I don't need money. The poorest shopkeepers will keep me supplied. Bodyguards? I don't want your bodyguards. You're all a pack of fools.
You cannot govern Russia.
I have no such wish. What do you want me to do?
Telegraph the Tsar advising him to dismiss Protopopov.
You all come to me when you're in trouble. You revile me, you'd set the dogs on me if you could. When you want any favor in court, you come sniveling to me. Go and do what the Tsar tells you. Leave me and my friends alone.
Friends? Who are your friends? Germans and German sympathizers.
How dare you say that to me? I'm a Russian. What have I ever done except for my country and for my holy Tsar? I have advised Papa, consoled Mama, and saved the heir to the throne. I work for the people, which you do not. I have implored Papa to stop the bloodshed. Is that wrong? I have made the government halt troop trains so that grain could be brought into the cities. Is that wrong? I have chosen men for the Tsar's council who love God, which you do not.
I am a religious man.
You are nothing! In a little while you will be forgotten. But I will not. Nor will the Holy Tsar. Go and do your duty. I will not attack you if you do not attack me.
The moment you are protected.
Protected? I will tell you something. I will not last out this year. My life will be taken. I know that. And after I have gone, everything will fall. And God will be mocked. And Russian will turn against Russian. And the ordinary people will take the broken pieces of Russia into their own hands.
Your people are at the end of their endurance, sir. Even the army is restless. And the working men are beginning to strike for want of food. Traitors or not, sir, they are desperate. Cossack and police patrols are needed everywhere. With respect, sir, you made a grave mistake when you took over responsibilities of Commander-in-Chief of the Army. Now all our reverses are blamed on your Majesty. You have lost the confidence of your people.
I would rather say that they have lost mine.
The people of Russia, sir, have always been prepared to fight for Tsar and motherland, but the two are no longer indissoluble. They will not be repressed forever. They will rise against you, and we shall not be able to hold them back.
And perhaps will not want to?
It has always been my great desire, sir, to see the Romanov dynasty go on, and Russia to be at peace with herself.
I believe you.
Then do not force the people to choose between the good of their country and you.
Can it be that for 22 years I've tried to do my best, and for 22 years it's all been a mistake?
Yes, sir. You've been wrong.
After 2.5 years, the most devastating war the world had ever known reached a stalemate, and the casualties on both sides were close on 12 million dead. To the Allies, the supreme warlord of Germany, Kaiser Wilhelm II, was portrayed as a foul monster, a living symbol of German aggression. In reality, he was a man older than his 59 years, tired and beaten by events which had escalated far beyond his ability to control. A sick, ailing Kaiser whose grip upon his country's destiny was slipping rapidly through his fingers. He had made his supreme headquarters at the great country house of Pless. His chancellor, Bettmann Hollweg, Field Marshal von Hindenburg, his chief of staff, General Ludendorff, and Admiral von Holzendorff await his decisions on policy and strategy.
Field Marshal.
Your Imperial Majesty.
General.
Majesty.
Admiral.
Majesty.
And Bettmann Hollweg.
Your Majesty.
Well, what instructions do you have for me this time?
With respect, sir, we are here to present to Your Majesty the present situation as we see it, and to seek Your Majesty's advice.
I didn't want this war. I was not even responsible for its declaration. This war is decimating our youth, it's crippling our economy. Our whole nation, gentlemen, is crying out for peace.
Peace, Your Majesty, can only be achieved by absolute and complete victory.
At the cost of how many more German soldiers' lives, General? We are fighting a war on two fronts, gentlemen. We have the enemy before us and at our rear. British blockade has us on the brink of starvation. There is a limit to which may push a nation, gentlemen. If this war is not soon ended, it will be the German people telling us what to do, not the other way around.
As you are aware, Majesty, I have explored every possibility of a peaceful settlement of this war without success. The Allies have rejected our proposals out of hand.
The Allies. I have one cousin who is King of England, another Tsar of Russia. You would have thought, wouldn't you, that between the three of us, I sometimes think that Nicky and George conspire against me. I tell you, gentlemen, if my grandmother was still alive today, she would never have allowed this.
From a purely military point of view, Your Majesty, our armies and the enemy's can hold their positions on the Western Front indefinitely. It is time we had a radical reappraisal of our strategy.
Indeed.
For with every day that passes, the enemy grows stronger by building up supplies, raw materials, food.
Within 6 days, Majesty, I can have 6 flotillas of U-boats commanding the sea lanes of the North Atlantic. I give you my word, Majesty, that the German Navy will bring England to her knees within 4 months.
And America into the war within 4 weeks.
Possibly, Your Majesty. We must be prepared for that threat.
You make all these proposals, gentlemen, but it is I who must accept responsibility for the final decisions. It's too much for any one man.
With the utmost respect, you have not heard all our proposals. As Your Majesty rightly pointed out, we are fighting a war on 2 fronts. The Russian front must be eliminated.
Do you think, Field Marshal, in the years that you were a general in the field and knew nothing of what was going on behind the scenes in the Wilhelmstrasse, that I was not conscious of that fact?
We are all deeply sensible of your foresight, Majesty.
With Russia out of the war, I can release 122 divisions from the east, more than doubling our strength on the Western Front and enabling us to mount a major offensive. Eh, Ludendorff?
A breakthrough. Complete victory.
But have I not, Chancellor, again and again tried to get my cousin Nicky to sign a separate peace treaty with the Central Powers? I have personally, in writing, guaranteed that every single German soldier will be taken from Russian soil in return for a guarantee of a separate peace. Now, you don't know my cousin, Field Marshal, is as stubborn as he is treacherous.
With respect, Majesty, I am confident that there are other means of detaching Russia from her commitment to the Western Allies. In Russia, there are certain disruptive groups.
Every week I hear the same thing. Russia is on the verge of a civil war. Her army is on the brink of mutiny. That we should try to win this war by encouraging a Bolshevik revolution in Russia is sheer insanity. If we should succeed, what then? We should have an armed Bolshevik nation on our doorstep. Out of an enemy, we would create a monster.
If your Imperial Majesty will not make some decision, then our armies might well retire from the field before another drop of German blood is shed. We must either fight this war to win or sue for peace at any price.
But I place the responsibility for this on your shoulders, gentlemen. Very well. Admiral, you may have your unrestrained submarine warfare. And the day hostilities cease on the Eastern Front, Ludendorff, you may have your complete victory. What dreadful tea this is. Where does it come from nowadays?
Aristocratic conspirators murdered Grigory Rasputin. His death was for Russia a sign of liberation.
The dark shadow that has hung for too long over the imperial court has been removed. But the bright ray of enlightenment we had all hoped for has not fallen on this government. Those of us who pledged our faith to our Tsar and to our country when this war broke out are now almost lost in despair as we watch our economy crumbling and our soldiers at the front forced into defeat for want of food and ammunition. This government has increasingly displayed its incompetence, its total contempt for this constituent assembly, and its inability to govern in this most perilous hour. As leader of the Democratic Liberal Party, and in the name of those millions whom this war has claimed, I demand that this cabinet be replaced. By men who deserve the trust of the people.
I am astounded at the mild-mannered politeness with which Deputy Milyukov addresses these buffoons.
I will not be insulted in this manner, Mr. Kerensky.
Deputy Milyukov demands the resignation of the government. I say that this assembly should demand the resignation of the man who put this government into office. Where there is incompetence and corruption, one must always look to the top. For this government are but fleeting shadows. The country knows full well who sends them here. The one man who, by his disdain of any democratic form of government, for his refusal to institute any of the reforms for which this country so desperately cries out, his inability to defend this nation against our enemies, has shown that he is clearly ill-suited to be called Tsar of all the Russias. It is not only this government that should go, but the Tsar himself. and his entire court of lackeys, toadies, and incompetents. If you will not listen to the voice of warning now, you will be faced with the facts. Look up! Look up at the distant flashes in the skies of Russia. This Tsar may believe that he has been ordained by God. Then let him be deposed by man. I say remove him. Remove the Tsar. 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 Remove the Tsar.
I most earnestly beg your majesty to reconsider. To leave the capital at this particular moment might readily be interpreted by many people as, well...
Don't stutter, Alexander Dmitrievich.
Well, as neglect of duty, majesty. Not that I, of course, nor any of
My
my
duty at this moment is to my general staff. They're expecting me at headquarters, and tomorrow evening I shall be there.
A few days delay, majesty. A week at the most. Until we can bring the situation under control.
Unbelievable. Monstrous. Who is this lunatic Kerensky?
A socialist man. Leader of the so-called labor group. We are having him watched day and night.
Vulgar, coarse little man. This speech is open treason against the imperial crown and against the state. I am astonished, Alexander Dmitrievich, that you did not have him arrested on the spot.
I fear your majesty does not fully appreciate the mood of the Duma. I must confess at one moment I was in fear of my own life.
If this sort of speech continues to be tolerated, we shall all be in fear of our lives. It is not enough that the city is crawling with anarchist Bolshevik traitors. Now we must tolerate this sort of behavior in the Duma.
My dear, there's no need to become over-emotional. I'm sure Alexander Dmitrievich has the matter well in hand.
I'm only thinking of you, Nicky. If anything should happen to you...
There have been at least a dozen accounts of attempts upon my life in the foreign press this past month. I was even reported dead in one Swedish newspaper. I'm still here. You worry too much, Alex.
Her Majesty's fears are not entirely without foundation, Your Majesty.
Then you must deal with the situation as you see fit. You have the authority.
If Your Majesty were prepared to... If Your Majesty were prepared to address the Duma, it would restore their confidence.
Are you telling me that I must deserve their confidence? Isn't it rather they who should try to restore mine?
It is a matter of diplomacy, Your Majesty.
You must not allow yourself to be intimidated by a gaggle of petty bourgeois troublemakers. If our dear friend were alive, he would not have allowed this to happen.
I sometimes wonder whether my people fully realize the terrible weight of responsibility I carry upon my shoulders.
We must be grateful to Providence, Nicky, that he fits the back for the burden. And yet you look so tired, my dearest.
Well, it'll be quiet at headquarters away from all this. Perhaps the rest will do me good.
It is ironic, Majesty, that it should be quieter at the front than it is here in the capital.
Alexander Dmitrievich, I understand your concern for my welfare. But if matters are as bad as you say, then there's nothing to be gained by standing here and discussing it. You have the authority to act. I suggest you do so quickly.
I will endeavor to do my best, Your Majesty.
And you'll keep me informed of developments.
Daily, Your Majesty.
Very well. That is all, Alexander Dmitrievich.
God go with you on your journey, Your Majesty. Good day, Your Majesty. Good day, man.
I don't want to leave you, Alex. I'm so lost without you. If anything should happen, shh. Look after the children. I won't say goodbye to them.
Goodbye, my dear sweet Nicky. You look splendid.
One day, perhaps.
In Petrograd, a general strike exploded into riots as a starving population defied the police and the military in search of food. But the Tsar's government could no longer rely upon the troops of the imperial garrison. And as the soldiers began to fraternize, it became clear that the revolution was imminent.
Glasgow, what is so important that you risk yourself down there?
I need a police permit and a travel pass.
Where for?
Kronstadt and then on to Copenhagen.
There'll be so many Russian revolutionaries in Copenhagen.
It's important that I leave here tonight.
Few riots in the streets and you can't wait to leave Russia to announce that the revolution has started. It'll come to nothing, as in 1905.
What a pessimist you are.
No, I'm a realist, comrade. What name do you want on your pass this time?
Brecht.
Brecht?
Girl I once knew. Good morning.
Herr Brecht to see you, Doctor.
Oh, thank you.
You look exhausted, my dear fellow.
Yes, I came straight from the boat.
Well, sit down.
Thank you.
A drink?
No, thank you.
Will that be all, Herr Doctor?
Oh, 1 minute. Telegraph this to Dusseldorf immediately.
Yes, of course.
Why do you call yourself Brecht now?
It seemed expedient to kill off Rothenstein.
Life is odd, isn't it? I buy coal from the Germans and sell it to the Russians. Copper, tin, aluminium, iron, steel. German steel to make Russian guns to kill German soldiers.
But the Germans must know what you're doing.
This is a capitalist war, my dear Glasgow. The industrialists don't care who buys from them so long as they make a profit. That is what wars are all about, profit. The only thing the Germans don't know is that most of the profit I make here finds its way eventually into the hands of the Russian revolutionaries. Amusing, don't you think?
I don't find anything about war amusing.
I imagine you have news from Petrograd.
Oh, yes. There are riots in the streets. The government will collapse. Kerensky has called for the abdication of the Tsar.
God preserve us from middle-class intellectuals. So that means the war will go on.
They have declared their policy to be one of relentless prosecution of the war.
Did you know that for weeks now, German U-boats have been sinking every merchant vessel on sight, neutral or otherwise? America will be in the war before April. So now, more than ever, the Kaiser must get Russia out of the war. It is his only hope. And do you know Who the German Foreign Office is hoping will achieve that miracle? Me. Not the Imperial German Army, but Alexander Helpand. A socialist revolution in Russia has to happen. It must. And if a socialist revolution means an end to the war, then the German Foreign Office will finance it. It is only just, don't you think, that we should use capitalist money to finance a proletarian revolution.
Comrade, I'm very tired. I haven't slept for 3 nights. I don't find your flippancy in these matters amusing.
You take politics too seriously, my dear Glasgow.
I've just come from a country where men and women are being shot. Are being shot for their politics. And you sit in this office, treating the whole thing like some grand game of chess.
I was out in the streets carrying a red flag before you were born. I had been in and out of every prison in Germany. I've devoted my entire life to the socialist movement. One of the first requirements of a socialist revolution is a sense of humor. We are in a unique position, you and I, comrade. We hold the course of European history in our hands.
You know, one day, the whole of Europe will be one vast socialist state. Russia, Germany, France, even England. But there will be one place where life will go on just as it always has done. Right here in Switzerland! But it won't happen in our lifetime.
If you stay here any longer, Volodya, you'll become a bourgeois farmer and settle down breeding cows.
I haven't spent 30 years fighting for the revolution all over Europe in order to settle down in this miserable country.
I was just making a joke.
Have you read Kerensky's speech?
I'm just doing so.
The man is a lunatic.
The socialist parties of the Allied powers would be failing in their patriotic duty to their respective countries were they, in this present conflict, to engage in any revolutionary activity which might jeopardize their country's efforts to continue the war against German imperialism.
Any war undertaken by a capitalist government is imperialism. Hasn't the clown read any books?
He is a lawyer.
What on earth has got to do old Bronsky?
Elite! Elite! It's happened! At last! It's happened! At last! Come all the way from the station. The papers. Read. See what it says. I cannot believe it. After all the years. All these years. Well, old friend, now that it's happened, I don't know what to say. I'm like you.
Revolution in Russia.
Here, you haven't read all this. The provisional government, consisting largely of the Cadet Party and the Octoberist Liberals, have passed a motion demanding the immediate abdication of the Tsar. And here, the Tsar ordered the immediate dissolution of the Duma, which at once replied by refusing to dissolve and proclaiming itself a constituent assembly, which is in effect tantamount to declaring a state of revolution. workers have organized a Soviet of workers' deputies.
A 9-day wonder it cannot last.
Deputies of soldiers and sailors Soviets.
They will be shot.
Cossacks refuse to fire on demonstrators. Soldiers march with workers. Barricades in the streets. A crowd of 30,000 soldiers, workers, and students assembled outside the Duma.
Well, if the revolution in Russia has begun, what in the name of God are we doing in Switzerland? The Bolsheviks must immediately carry out propaganda and agitation, legal and illegal, for an international proletarian revolution and the conquest of power by the Soviet of Workers' Deputies.
See who has just arrived from
Zinoviev, Gregory. Telegrams have been arriving all day from Germany, from America. Unbelievable. I cannot waste a moment. I cannot stay another minute in this accursed Switzerland.
All soldiers' regiments in Petrograd have pleased themselves to support the revolution. Proto-Popov has been arrested.
Continue. Spread out. Arouse new sections. Awake fresh initiatives from organizations in every layer. Prove to them that peace can only come with the armed Soviet of Workers' Deputies in power and the arming of the masses in the fight for peace, bread, and freedom.
Comrade Glasgow.
The Bolsheviks in Russia are not organized. The voice of the proletariat has not yet made itself heard in the land. If we are not there now to lead them, the revolution will be overwhelmed by that idiot Kerensky and his bunch of bourgeois bunglers. I tell you, we stand here, helpless and useless, congratulating ourselves on a revolution in which we're not even involved.
No, that's not true, comrade. Our agitators are at work in the factories, organizing the soldiers.
The revolution will not become a proletarian revolution until the entire bulk of the population, workers, peasants, soldiers, are shown that they have the power to make it so. Power, comrade. The power of 2 million people. Not a handful of middle-class intellectuals in one city. But if we are not there now, at this crucial hour in our country's history, perhaps even in the history of the world, there will be no revolution. Ah, you will see. This little capitalist shake-up will crumble like a child's sandcastle.
We cannot get out of Switzerland via Italy or France. The Allies would arrest us as traitors to their war effort. And if we try and cross the German frontier, we'll be arrested as enemy aliens.
I must get there. I must.
Comrade Lenin, it is possible that I have the answer.
I do not know you.
If we could talk in private, comrade.
Help hand. He's a profiteer and an adventurer. He makes money out of war, and now he seeks to profit by revolution. He's a scoundrel.
I agree. I agree with you, comrade. But if his influence with the German Foreign Office can help to get you back to Russia, what does it matter where the money comes from?
Well, it does to me.
The end justifies the means.
Look, to accept German help in getting to Russia would expose me to accusations of treason, of being an enemy agent. It could have the most serious repercussions. No, there must be another way. By aeroplane.
Aeroplane?
I could disguise myself. Use a false passport. Ah, there are a dozen ways.
Oh, no. There is only one way. Through Germany. A help hand is on his way to Berlin now. If he can arrange matters...
No.
Your presence in Petrograd is vital. Would you have the Bolshevik Revolution led by men like Stalin and Chekit? I expect a telegram tonight or tomorrow morning. I'll report to you as soon as I receive it.
I can see this opportunity slipping through my fingers. Just slipping through my fingers.
Thank you, Morgan. Now, would you read that over to me?
You are hereby commanded to dispatch 3 cavalry squadrons and 4 infantry regiments and as many machine gun detachments as can be spared from the northern sector under the command of General Ivanov and selected loyal and trustworthy officers to march at once upon Petrograd to restore order in the capital and proclaim a state of martial law.
Yes, good. You can dispatch it to General Alexiev at the next station.
With respect, Your Majesty, would it not be wiser to wait until you've discussed the matter with the cabinet?
I have no wish, Colonel, to arrive in Petrograd only to be arrested by a wild horde of drunken anarchists. Besides, I have my family to think of. The train's slowing down. Are we stopping?
I will inquire, Your Majesty. General Rusky?
I must insist on an audience with the Emperor at once. The matter is of the utmost gravity.
General Rusky.
Your Imperial Majesty. I'm here, Your Majesty, at the request of the delegates of the Duma and the Cabinet of Ministers of the Provisional Government.
But I gave orders for the Duma to be dissolved 3 days ago.
And the express command of General Alexiev to request, in view of the gravity of the political situation and the imminent danger of civil war, that Your Majesty abdicate the throne immediately. Representatives from the Provisional Government will take the earliest opportunity to present Your Majesty with the necessary documents.
I do not quite understand the position of a monarch who reigns but does not govern. I have sworn a duty before God to serve my country and accept responsibility for state affairs. If I agree to curtail or relegate that power, I may relinquish control over the country's affairs, but I cannot evade responsibility for them, even if I would wish it. Even if I would wish it, I cannot cede to your request.
Then, sir, the Duma will not request, but demand.
Excuse,
Men from the Volinsky and Pavlovsky regiments. On behalf of the Soviet of Workers' Deputies, we pledge ourselves and our arms to our brothers the workers to defend the cause of the people. Long live the revolution!
The Soviet of Workers' Deputies have elected me as leader of the Social Democratic Duma delegation and have instructed me to say that we support the provisional government entirely. Long live the
Comrades, my name is Kerensky. I'm Minister for Justice in the Provisional Government. And in that capacity, I have already ordered the immediate release of all political prisoners.
Good! There are prisoners in Siberia.
Yes, and I have instructed that our comrade deputies and members of the democratic faction should be returned from exile in Siberia with special honors. I base my activities on the will of the people. Do you trust me, comrades?
Yes!
Because the future of Russia is in your hands. Long live the revolution! Long live the revolution!
May I ask Comrade Kerensky whether the government is willing to abide by the decisions made by the Executive Committee of the Petrograd Soviet?
At all times, comrade!
Indeed. And are you aware, Comrade Kerensky, that at a meeting this afternoon of the Executive Committee, it was unanimously agreed that the army should submit only to the directions of the Soviets?
Comrade, there must be a central constitutional government, even in a revolution.
And that the soldier Soviets of the Pavlovsky Regiment, of the Volinsky Regiment, of the Litovsky-Finlansky and the Grenadiers have demanded that the government put an end to this war at once. Down with the war! Forward to the Bolshevik Revolution! Down with this capitalist war!
Workers, comrades, and soldiers! No army can remain in idleness. The restoration of the fighting capacity of the Russian army and its assumption of an offensive against the enemy is the immediate and fundamental task of free Russia for the sake of the revolution. And in the name of democracy and liberty, this war must and will be won.
Our own reports from Russia indicate that there is increasing disaffection with the war and that the Bolsheviks are demanding an end to hostilities.
I've always assured you, Chancellor, that should the Bolsheviks come to power, Russia will be out of the war.
Quite.
But they are urgently in need of organizers and political agitators. And the most experienced of these are exiled abroad, mostly in Switzerland.
Then the sooner they're in Russia, the better.
The only problem is how. They will not be permitted to travel through Italy or France. The Allies are not likely to encourage a Bolshevik revolution.
Then they must be transported through Germany.
It is the only way, Chancellor.
That, too, presents certain problems. Majesty, I did not expect your
I'm
Majesty.
sure you didn't, Bateman Holweg. And who is this?
This is Dr. Helphunt, Majesty, our principal contact with the Bolshevik revolutionaries in Russia. We were discussing means
I am well aware of what you are discussing, Chancellor. I am not utterly without sources of information in my government.
I assure your Majesty there was nothing secret in our discussion. It is a matter of transporting certain revolutionaries in Switzerland across Germany into Russia, Majesty, with your Majesty's permission.
Did you really imagine, Doctor, that we would willingly give our permission for the encouragement of a Bolshevik revolution in Russia?
But I had been given to understand, Majesty.
We have no intention of building up a power which could one day destroy us.
The Bolsheviks want only peace, Majesty.
On whose terms?
That must be a matter for negotiation, Majesty.
Any peace treaty will not be signed on their terms. Of that you may be assured.
I am confident that they are aware of that, Your Majesty.
We shall drive a very hard bargain, Doctor. One that even the Bolsheviks, however much they may desire peace, will find hard to swallow. Our interests in the wheat fields, the oil fields of Eastern Europe are very ambitious.
Their first consideration, Majesty, is peace. Without peace, there can be no revolution. I think you will find them willing to listen to reason.
And these Bolsheviks in Switzerland, by all accounts an assorted lot, are they reliable?
As far as I'm concerned, there is only one man that matters. He has been planning this revolution for 30 years. He is bitterly opposed to the war, and he has the support of the Bolsheviks, who, in turn, have many supporters in the army and navy.
Do you think that he will agree to this suggestion?
He is in a difficult position. Open support from the German government could politically be extremely embarrassing for him. But on the other hand, he is determined to return to Russia by any means he can.
And secrecy is most important.
It is imperative, Chancellor.
And you, Dr. Elpan, what is your interest in this little plot?
I am a socialist, Your Majesty. I will be happy to have played any part in bringing about a socialist revolution in Russia.
A revolution which you hope will then spread all across Europe?
That, I fear, Majesty, is only a matter of time.
If the German military plight were not so serious, I would forbid any action of this kind.
And I have Your Majesty's permission to proceed.
With the greatest reluctance. I tell you, if this scheme of yours succeeds, Bettenholweg, it will become something which Germany one day will live to regret.
The German minister in Bern has already made arrangements with the Swiss government for a German train to be made available at Bern. From there, it will cross the frontier at Godmadigan, carry on through Germany to Sassnitz on the Baltic.
A German train across Germany.
There's no other way, comrade. Now, the Germans have insisted on the following conditions. All luggage must be sealed, but there will be no inspection of baggage, no passports, customs. No one will be permitted to leave or board the train while it is traveling through Germany. 2 German officers are to accompany the train to the end of German territory. Food will be provided, but there will be no...
How many people in their conditions?
20.
It is not enough. There must be at least 40.
Comrade, I have spent all night with the minister in Bern agreeing to these details.
Then you can go back to the minister in Bern and tell him that I insist on certain conditions too. And one is that there must be at least 40 persons on that train.
But why? There are only 20 Bolsheviks.
Think about it. A trainload of Bolsheviks transported across enemy territory at German expense. It would destroy our political credibility, or we would be shot for traitors as soon as we arrived in Russia. No. Everyone must participate in this plan. Mensheviks, Social Democrats, Bundists, everyone.
You are right.
You can further tell the minister in Bern that no names of anyone will be taken on this train. That we shall be assured extraterritorial rights through Germany, and there will be no propaganda use on this mission, in the press or in any other manner.
If I hurry, I'll just catch the 10 o'clock train. What happens if the Germans don't accept your proposals?
Then we'll find another way.
Oh.
Tell me now, am I doing the right thing?
It is for you to decide.
I don't know.
Then you must hold a meeting.
I never heard such a ludicrous suggestion. We will be branded as traitors by every newspaper in the world, except in Germany.
The Germans have assured us...
The Germans have
The Germans have assured us that the whole operation will be conducted in complete secrecy.
A trainload of revolutionaries crossing enemy territory can be no secret, comrade.
I must admit, I have already heard talk of it in the cafes.
It will be the political scandal of the century.
It will destroy all our chances of a successful revolution.
Comrades, comrades. Arguing in this manner is neither democratic nor constructive. We have not heard Comrade Lenin's point of view.
My point of view. I agree with everything that has been said. As you say, our enemies could make political capital out of this for years to come. Again, as you say, it could seriously prejudice our status with our comrades in Russia. Everything you say, I agree with.
Then it's settled. We don't go. Well, isn't it agreed?
Do you have an alternative suggestion, Comrade Mirkov? Do you want to eke out the rest of your days in this godforsaken country while our comrades in Russia struggle to bring about a revolution, perhaps being arrested or shot?
But look.
How will you feel, Comrade Mirkov, 3 or 4 months from now, when the revolution has been wiped out by Kerensky and his bourgeoisie, the soldiers and sailors' deputies arrested, imprisoned, and all hopes of a true proletarian revolution destroyed? How will you feel as you sit in the Café Central in Zurich and read about it in the Swiss newspapers?
The provisional government has already granted amnesty to hundreds of Bolsheviks and revolutionaries. Now, if we had their permission...
Permission? We will send a telegram to Kerensky. Dear Comrade Kerensky, the Central Committee for the Return of Russian Exiles in Switzerland kindly requests your permission to return to Russia in order that they may overthrow your provisional government.
Comrades, we must build a revolution that will outlive any political slander that may be leveled at us. I agree with Comrade Zinoviev. We must accept this offer. We have no choice.
Nothing matters but the revolution. Nothing. And without peace, there can be no revolution. And without us, there will be no revolution. You see, there is no alternative, comrade. Believe me, I have thought about this very deeply, but there is no alternative. And time is running out. I beg you, think carefully, and you will agree. We have to accept.
We'll be in Sassnitz in 1 hour.
Russia.
Russia!
Which one of you is Lenin? Lieutenant Ilyin. I've been instructed to remain with you until we reach Petrograd.
What's the position there, Lieutenant? This has been a long journey. We've had little news.
It's a madhouse. Peasants and soldiers pouring in from all over the province in their thousands. Meetings and demonstrations on every street corner. The Taurida Palace is bedlam. Workers and soldiers' deputies holding committee meetings in every room, even in the corridors. We Russians have a passion for holding meetings.
When a people finds its voice for the first time, it has a lot to say.
There's so many parties. Committees for this, committees for that. Subcommittees, delegations, deputations.
And what is your assessment of the political situation? What kind of reception shall we receive?
I'm a soldier. I know nothing of politics.
Petrograd! We're coming into Petrograd at last!
For all we know, we shall be arrested as soon as we step off the train.
In October 1917, Lenin and the Bolsheviks seized power in a confused and exhausted Russia. They wanted no part of the imperialists' war and signed a separate peace with Germany at Brest-Litovsk in March 1918. But meanwhile, unrestricted German submarine warfare had caused the Americans to enter the conflict on the Allied side. In Austria, where the funeral of Franz Josef marked the end of an epoch, the new Emperor Karl appealed to the Germans to make peace before it was too late. His armies were beaten and his empire disintegrating. He did not want to be deposed and murdered like Nicholas of Russia and his family. In the spring, the Germans launched a major attack on the Allied line, but the line held and the British counterattacked with hundreds of tanks. The German army reeled. On August the 14th, the Kaiser summoned a council at Supreme Headquarters, which was located in the former Grand Hotel Britannique at Spa in occupied Belgium.
Headquarters, attention! Good morning. Guard, be armed! Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Your Majesty.
Morning, Belay. Morning, Father. Hindenburg. Your Majesty. Ludendorff.
Majesty.
Ah, Von Hinze.
Majesty.
Good morning, Chancellor.
Your Majesty.
There. Ah.
A cup of coffee, Your Majesty.
Oh, thank you, Miller. Thank you. This is pure coffee?
Of course, Your Majesty.
No wood shavings at Supreme Headquarters, eh? No flavored sawdust. Let the British blockaders eat their own sawdust. Germany stands firm. Bright swords, gentlemen, shining armor. At the hour of decision, your supreme warlord once again joins the ranks of his... thank you, Miller. Well, Hindenburg, Commander-in-Chief, state the agenda. The Chief of Operations has offered his resignation. Refused? That offer was refused 5 days ago.
Since that time, the situation has deteriorated.
Courage, Ludendorff. Your warlord has faith in you.
As Your Majesty commands.
Boundless faith. You are a friend I shall never desert.
Your Majesty's confidence strengthens me. Your Majesty, may General Groner bring in the latest telegrams?
Yes, of course. Good to see you again, Groner.
Your Majesty. Your Majesty, the strategical appreciation for the month of August 1918 is as follows. The withdrawal from the war of our Russian enemies enabled us to transfer men and material from the east and to launch, 5 months ago, our great new offensive. This offensive began...
Yes. Excuse me, Your Majesty. Private telephone message for His Imperial Highness the Crown Prince.
May I take it, Father?
Certainly, Willie, certainly.
Well, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Over there, if you please, Your Imperial Highness.
Thank you.
Switchboard Corporal, transfer.
Crown Prince speaking. My darling, is this wise? I insist that you obey me. Obey your Crown Prince. Now, of course, I love you. No, I will not repeat it. Very well, I will repeat it. I love you more than my wife, and when I see you tonight, I'll thwack your little bottom.
Therefore, it is not possible to break the enemy's will by offensive operations. Our future objective must be to paralyze the enemy's will to win by strategic defense.
And our defensive lines are drawn with the usual precision.
Our defensive lines are in ruins.
Never.
As Your Majesty well knows.
I know nothing of the kind.
But Your Majesty, August the 8th was the black day for the German army. When the British launched their big tank attack, 6 of our divisions crumbled completely without resistance.
Yes, it is strange the way our men seem unable to get used to tanks.
Our casualty figures clearly show that there are more missing than dead and wounded. Entire units disobeyed their officers and surrendered.
Yes, it is very odd indeed. Don't you think so, Chancellor?
In the military sphere, Your Majesty, I bow completely to the judgment of the Supreme Command.
Ah, how wise. Thank you, Greta. So unlike your predecessors, huh?
These men were scum, of course, Your Majesty. Boys, comb-outs from soft jobs at home, prisoners returned from the Russian front, and so on.
Yes, so we must review conditions. We have come to a limit, have we?
Your Majesty, we have.
The war must be ended. Well, I can face it. Your warlord can face his destiny.
Your Majesty, we must negotiate an armistice.
But then regroup, smash the troublemakers at home, and fight on.
An armistice?
Yes.
But in your opinion, Ludendorff, we shall upon the last day be victorious?
Yes.
Now, do you gentlemen dispute that? Excellent. Magnificent. I shall ride through the Brandenburg Gate at the head of returning heroes.
Your Majesty, General Ludendorff informed us earlier that the army had ceased to be a perfect fighting machine.
Nonsense. How, Willie? Our dear foreign minister here.
It was my aide-de-camp, Father.
What?
I mean my valet.
Oh, yes. Never mind that now. Here. Here's excellent news.
Your Majesty, may I urge extreme decisiveness?
Extreme.
Discipline at home.
Discipline.
And crush disaffection.
Crush it. Yes, Grenner, what have you there?
It's just another telegram I received this morning, Your Majesty.
Read it.
Troop train in Frankfurt had this slander chalked on it. Slaughter cattle for Butcher Wilhelm and his gang.
How can they say that? If they knew my heartbreak.
Discipline, Your Majesty.
We must have a commissioner for propaganda see to it, Chancellor.
Your Majesty...
See to it. Decisiveness. Miller.
Your Majesty.
Order the cars.
At once, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, upon what terms are we to seek the armistice?
Terms?
Would Foreign Minister von Hinze not agree that a more useful topic for consideration would be the mechanics of the operation?
Field Marshal, as a mere politician, I bow to your political skill.
Mechanics? Simple. Ask the King of Spain. Or Queen Wilhelmina of Holland.
Ask the King of Spain.
To intercede, Willie.
Oh.
Yes, decisiveness. Concentration. Where's Muller?
Ordering the cars, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty, shall we withdraw from Belgium?
Withdraw?
A tactical armistice will be easier to obtain if we offer to withdraw from Belgium.
But our right flank depends upon Belgium.
My sincere belief is that the sufferings of Germany have been such that even England and France must concede our right to occupy Belgium.
Why even mention Belgium? That business is settled. It is down in black and white.
In blood and field grey, Ludendorff. You drive to the station with me, Willie. I want to have a word with you.
Of course, Father.
Well, as you know, gentlemen, the health of the Empress has succumbed to the great strains placed upon it. I must be constantly at her side at Wilhelmshöhe, but I look forward to the outcome of these events with the utmost confidence. Hindenburg.
Your Majesty.
Ludendorff.
Majesty.
Von Hinze.
Majesty.
Chancellor, Groener, gentlemen.
Guard, be it arms!
Wilhelmshöhe, his castle in Germany when the war is lost.
The war is not lost.
It is.
It is not!
Ludendorff.
Gentlemen,
Please. The Emperor has made certain decisions. It is for us to enact them. However we interpret events, gentlemen, let us never forget the Emperor has a truly noble nature.
Donna, the fact about Willie's affair is that the woman is a French widow who lives near his headquarters, and, well, although it grieves us, there is a sort of stupid safeness about it. I'm sorry. I just blurted it out. The strain of keeping these facts from you has been very great.
I knew about the French widow a year ago.
You never told me.
No.
Was that your duty, Donna?
Wilhelm, your advisors are of the opinion that you should return to Supreme Headquarters in Belgium.
Now, was it not your duty to inform me?
Well, there are some sorrows that a mother should keep to herself.
Sorrows of state?
Wilhelm, I've no wish to burden you. I know how much I mean to you. My heart attack shattered you, I know that, but as Admiral Muller says...
Oh, Muller.
Your advisors...
Whisperers.
No.
Conspirators.
We must set an example of sacrifice.
False friends. Have you seen this newspaper?
I'm not dismayed by it.
Oh, no, of course not. What if the Turks are defeated? What if Austria has sued for a separate peace? What if the Bulgarian army has turned and fled? Filthy peasant rabble. When I behold the dignity of the German soldier, Donna, where is your lady in waiting?
I sent her away so that we could have this little talk.
Oh. Oh. What fun we had before the war.
We never talked like this.
We did.
We didn't. We...
Please, Donna. Oh, Donna, what am I going to do? I had a dream. I saw all our English and Russian relatives and all the ministers and generals of my reign march past, mocking me. Only the little Queen of Norway had a kind word.
She would have.
God knows I never wanted such slaughter.
Shall we say a prayer together?
Yes. What is it? Now, please tell me. Please.
Russia.
Russia?
Nicky and Alex.
Now, you mustn't think about that.
When you saw them in your dream, were they already dead?
No.
Were they... I mean, did they still have faces?
Please, Donna.
And the children... There was no need to shoot all the children.
No need. But they are at peace now, Donna. Only God can understand these riddles.
Amen.
Amen. Donna, I think I should return to Supreme Headquarters.
So do I.
Yes, my presence there could be vital.
I'm sure it could.
Yes. Shall I find your lady in waiting?
Thank you. I shall miss you.
I know.
Civilians, politicians, that is the cause. That is the ulcer. And what has happened to my armistice proposals? Rejected. Was that my fault?
Perhaps we should have offered to withdraw from Belgium. The approach would have been more direct.
Direct? We are German soldiers. We have our pride, don't we? Where is Foreign Minister von Hinze? He is never on time. And why is that? Because he is a politician.
He does have to travel from Berlin.
The war is not in Berlin. It is here. And I cannot conduct it alone. I am so tired. Oh, my God, I am tired.
We are all tired, Erich, old comrade.
And our so-called allies are trash. Austrians, cowards. What do you want?
General? Field Marshal.
My dear Hinze, how is the Emperor?
You'll soon see for yourself. Unchanged.
You mean he still ignores what he knows to be the facts?
I mean that if he reads those newspapers which demand his abdication, he does not comment upon them.
What fortitude. For in all sincerity, he never wanted this war.
No, he wanted a victory.
And he could have had one. With more discipline and less treachery. Where's Groener?
Yeah, General.
Wireless room.
There's no change.
Wireless room!
Gentlemen, shall we be seated?
If there's no change, the news must still be bad.
Bad? Bad, he says. Do you know that we have sustained 4 days of continuous assaults? We have not slept. My eyes sting, my ears are buzzing, and staring at maps all night makes the lines crawl about like maggots. God knows what our front line has suffered. May God smash the faces of traitor civilians.
Our civilians have no food and no fuel.
Don't answer me back.
They die in their hundreds of thousands from the influenza.
Don't answer me!
My duty
is to obey. Obey! Go on. Comb out more men from the factories. Our front line has collapsed. Groener!
Nobody blames you.
Oh, but I blame myself. And I blame all traitors. Groener! German soldiers are the finest in the world. I know what cowards are. I'll tell you who I blame. I can't breathe.
Excuse me, gentlemen. General Ludendorff. General Ludendorff. What's happened?
Collapsed.
Is he dead? No, sir.
What is it?
Well, it's like shell shock, isn't it, sir?
He hasn't been near the battle.
No, sir, he hasn't.
That it should come to this, that the army of the great Frederick should come to this.
Your Majesty.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Ludendorff.
Your Majesty.
Don't you drink too much coffee. Now, you ought to consult the specialist who attends the Empress. Is that not so, Miller?
Definitely.
Oh, yes. The Empress is an example to us all.
Your Majesty.
Is this another dream? Or are we 6 friends truly in this room? We are. The army is defeated, and we must make a direct appeal for an armistice. Von Hinze,
Your Majesty.
you must approach the American President Wilson.
Wilson's book on the Prussian Constitution offers easy hope of his sympathy.
Very true.
Now that the old Chancellor has resigned, he should be replaced by a more liberal figure.
Yes, well, President Wilson His attitude to our Constitution is very liberal.
Your Majesty should appoint your cousin, Prince Max von Baden, as Chancellor.
Max?
Yes.
He's prematurely bald, poor devil.
Admiral Muller.
Oh,
Huh?
Steam up an Imperial train, Your Majesty. I must order the cars at once.
What can equal the companionship of friends? In the old days, you know, I was something of a practical joker.
You were?
Oh, you suffered, I dare say, Muller.
I did, Your Majesty.
Oh, yes. We were all merry young officers together. The object, you say, Hindenburg, is to withdraw the army intact.
It is, Your Majesty.
Second Punic War. Rome versus Carthage. An alliance with England and Japan to drive the Americans out of Europe. Well, who knows the answer to these riddles? You're a good, honest man, Hindenburg. Do you know it?
It is our duty to save our social system.
Well, I think these strikes and mutinies are just the work of a few Bolshevik agitators.
Your Majesty, will you sign the proclamation here or in Berlin?
Proclamation?
For the new democratic constitution. If you sign here, we
Never!
can show them the contents and Your
No,
Majesty.
no, as supreme ruler, I am the instrument of God.
There is no provision for political parties in the Reichstag to share in my executive decisions. The Reichstag is a monkey house. And if you don't believe me, go and read President Wilson's book.
The alternative to a liberally reformed Reichstag is anarchy. We must save the social system.
Oh, very well. The proclamation.
Oh. Huh? Liberalization of the Constitution. You do realize this means social democrats as ministers?
We do, Your Majesty.
Vulgar little nobodies.
They will accept your cousin, Prince Max, as Chancellor.
Oh, will they? Oh, good. Yeah. At least Max is a gentleman.
Good morning, Chancellor. Forgive my lateness. I arrived in Berlin only this morning. It seems that all the pipes in the building are frozen. What?
Can you find a plumber?
I'm told that the Swiss embassy have one.
Really? If he's a German national, we can call him up.
Is Ludendorff also delayed?
Ah, my dear General.
Royal Highness, Prince Max. Excellency.
Ludendorff.
I'm sorry that I am late, but there was a riot at the railway station.
Many red flags in evidence?
Yes, very many. Whether we can soon stop that nonsense. Good God, what's that?
Fuel shortage. The power plant's closed down. Oh, do be seated, General.
Thank you.
Tell us why you requested this conversation and the audience with His Majesty.
Are my reasons not obvious?
No.
Well then, We can still win this war. My depression was ill-founded. What has happened is that the enemy cannot break through. You see, this is a war of defensive firepower. And if we can hold fast now, we can bring the enemy through weariness to a favorable armistice. And that is why His Imperial Majesty has ordered submarine warfare to the uttermost, and why I demand discipline at home.
Have you read President Wilson's armistice conditions?
Diplomatic nonsense.
Submarine warfare must cease at once. And if the United States has to deal with military leaders and imperial autocracy, it must demand not peace negotiations, but unconditional surrender.
We can crush them.
Really? You said we were defeated.
I was wrong.
I saw you collapse.
That was exhaustion, and it has passed.
The damage has been done.
Damage?
To our belief in victory.
Nonsense. When does His Majesty arrive?
He's late.
Well, I can see that.
Before he arrives, Ludendorff, there's something you should know.
Yes?
I must preface it by saying that I have admired you very much. I mean men like you. Soldiers.
Good.
Inevitable.
I don't see why.
Soldiers reunited Germany. So as well as the bands and the uniforms, there is the mystic passion of the soldier's oath. I suppose it was for the sake of the mystery that we accepted the imperial system. His Imperial Majesty is the supreme warlord, Hindenburg is chief of staff, and someone like yourself makes the actual decisions. The staff has the keenest brains of the empire, and we've always admired them. But when even plumbers and railwaymen know that the staff is grotesquely mistaken, it is time to change.
Your Highness, I most strongly protest.
I've told the Emperor that either you or I must go.
You are a milk and water liberal.
Gentlemen.
Your Majesty, there is treason here. For the sake of the war and of your throne, I beg you to listen to what I have to say.
Your next appointment is with me, I believe, Ludendorff.
It is, Your Majesty.
The substance is that your resignation will be most acceptable.
Never.
To put it bluntly, your recent attitudes have not been helpful to the national sacrifice.
Your Majesty, I must repeat for your...
I will not dispute.
Conspirators!
Silence!
I will not be silent!
Guard! Arrest that man!
Conspirators!
God save Ludendorff!
What?
Have you no idea of military discipline?
Majesty, please accept my most loyal resignation.
That's better. Hindenburg will appoint your successor, General Grenner. Oh, the lights weren't off for too long, were they? My God!
Your Majesty?
Is this a thermometer?
Yes.
Max, have you caught the influenza?
I'm afraid I have.
We shouldn't be in the same room with you. Miller, follow me.
Gentlemen.
His Majesty has been betrayed by civilians. Conspirators have influenced those aspects of his character that are notoriously shallow.
Shall we alert your driver, General?
If His Majesty loses the war, he will also lose his throne.
Oh, yes, he'll lose both those.
At least my hands are clean.
The question is, can we even save the monarchy?
Not with civilians.
Shall I alert your driver?
Yes, do. At least he is a soldier. Highness, Excellency.
Did you walk over here from Supreme Headquarters?
Of course, Your Majesty.
Well, of course you did, yes. Well, now, what do you think of my little garden house?
Charming, charming.
Well, it struck me at once. Style of Frederick the Great.
Of course.
Gentlemen. Majesty. Hindenburg. No greeting. Oh, my God.
An old man's tears, Your Majesty.
Come. Rejoice! President Wilson and his allies have agreed to an armistice. Tasks of peacetime reconstruction await us. Now, this Crown Council has been called to discuss the affairs of the interior, which will be under the command of the Emperor.
Your Majesty, I beg to be allowed to resign my commission. As a Prussian officer, I cannot say what I now have to say.
No resignations, none. Come on. Now, gentlemen, an appreciation of the situation in Germany at present is as follows.
Majesty, armed mobs control the ports, the Rhine crossings, the principal cities of the fatherland, and the railway system. No trains can pass, the army is cut off.
Precisely. I shall place myself at the head of the units that remain loyal and restore order.
That would mean civil war within the army itself.
I don't believe you.
Your Majesty no longer has an army.
What?
The army will march home in peace under its generals, but not under the command of Your Majesty.
I must have that in writing. I must have a written statement from all my generals commanding. Am I not your supreme warlord? Have you not sworn your soldier's oath?
In this situation, Your Majesty, that oath is a fiction.
Hindenburg! My God!
Field Marshal.
Yes? Yes? Thank you. Berlin. All troops deserted. Situation out of hand.
This Crown Council is temporarily adjourned. Social Democrats, traitors, conspirators against my dynasty. God knows my willingness to abdicate if that were the true wish of the German people. Oh, I've reigned long enough to know what a thankless task it is. How dare that newspaper say that I cling to my imperial position? All I've done is to pursue my duty side by manless side with the army and with the people. Ah, Willie, my poor boy.
Father?
And as for abdication in favor of the regency, each one of my sons has sworn never to succeed me in that fashion. Correct, Willie?
Correct, Father.
So there, gentlemen, so there.
So Your Majesty has considered the tactics of abdication?
Do you accuse me of your own cunning?
We could make a better peace without you, Your Majesty.
I shall never speak to Grana again.
One of my aides suggested that you could abdicate as emperor but remain king of Prussia.
Remain? Why, that's it. That's the solution.
Well, I said even so, I couldn't become emperor because I know the Belindruk.
Belindruk?
Don't shoot the Kaiser because you might get the Crown Prince in his place.
Pull yourself together, my boy. That is the solution.
Thank you. Von Hinze? Prince Max, what is happening?
What's happening? What? No, it's not the line, it's my influenza. I have the Social Democrat leader, Herr Ebert, with me, and... What? No, street fighting. There's a general strike. The Bolshevik has... Hello? 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 Cut off.
Oh, my God.
Hello?
Will this be my office?
When I've resigned and you're Chancellor.
Yes.
Don't you like it?
It's too big.
Oh, hello. Is that von Hinze? Yes. Will the Emperor speak to me himself?
Will he?
No. Oh, my God. No, we must have a statement in 30 minutes. Yes. What? Nothing. Perhaps battalions of homosexuals? I said perhaps. Hello. Cut off.
Homosexuals?
He asked, how can we disarm the mutinous sailors? I suggested that battalions of homosexuals might do it. I agree, a joke in very frivolous taste.
Now, will the Emperor abdicate?
He's considering the matter.
Did you tell them about the crowds on the streets? What should we do?
We must announce his abdication.
But he hasn't abdicated yet.
I'll take the responsibility. Well, will you make the announcement or shall I?
What's the correct form?
I'm the resigning Chancellor. I imagine the duty falls on me.
Good. We socialists have no wish to upset the procedures. Thank goodness. Hindenburg and Groener have gone. Pessimists. They have absolutely no sense of peacetime reconstruction.
Indeed not, Father. Now, your mother will be very pleased by all this. Ah, she is an example to us all. She always wanted me to spend more time on Prussian domestic causes.
Your Majesty.
Oh, yes, we are composing a statement, Miller. There's no cause for anxiety.
Telegrams from Berlin.
What's that? Announced my abdication? What? This is treason, barefaced treason.
What's happened?
My own cousin has announced my abdication, a traitor. He seems to be totally unaware of the fact that I am still King of Prussia.
Herr von Ince! Herr von Ince! He must cease. Tell him that under no circumstances must he... What? Please wait, I'll ring you back. Ebert. What? Oh, God. The Bolsheviks have seized the Imperial Palace and proclaimed a Soviet regime.
Oh, my head's begun to ache.
That's not all. Our side has seized the Reichstag and proclaimed a democratic socialist republic.
It's when one relaxes, of course, all the aches and pains catch up.
Thank you. What should I do?
I don't know.
Ebert, the office of the Chancellor. What? Oh, Your Royal Highness.
Hello? Yes? Yes, von Hinze. Yes, I've resigned. I'm going home to sleep. What? Don't be ridiculous, old friend. The monarchy's completely lost.
Give me the party headquarters. Yes, I'm waiting.
My God, are you back here already?
My emperor.
You no longer have an emperor.
My emperor. We cannot see you taken prisoner to Berlin. Our advice is that you formally abdicate and seek refuge in Holland.
Do you think I am afraid to stay here with my troops?
No, Your Majesty.
I shall put this villa into a state of defense. See to it, Miller. Machine gun posts, trenches where necessary. What will you do, Willie? Rejoin your troops?
Yes.
Well done.
Your Majesty, I beg you to go to Holland.
Your Majesty?
Is that you, Muller?
Yes, Your Majesty.
I'm in the depths, Muller. I'm deserted. I'm stricken to the heart.
The officers of your suite are all still here, Your Majesty.
Well, thank God I'm used to loneliness. The disability I was born with has made me very self-reliant. Where have you been?
As you commanded, Your Majesty, I've had the baggage put aboard the Imperial train.
Unload it. Unload it.
At once, Your Majesty.
I shall fight on here, Muller. I shall expend the last round of ammunition. Have you seen any drunken soldiers? Oh, rioters, looters. Moral decay of that kind seems to accompany all dynastic catastrophes. Poor Germany. Contemptible, unwashed France. And as for England, Miller, as for England, why do they hate me so much? They do realize, don't they, that their blockade killed more women and children than did my submarines. They do realize that, don't they? Well, thank God, the Empress is safe in Potsdam.
She is an example to us all.
Oh, yes. Of course she is. The English do know about the starvation and the disease they've caused. They do know about that, don't they? They do know that their hatred is entirely unfair. Well, my courage is unabated. No, I can handle these problems. I have the map of Europe here in my head. Oh, yes, sleeping and waking. If my destiny is to be a tragic one, then let it come. Of course, in different circumstances, I might have been an archaeologist. Something of that kind. As one grows older, these things seem less important. I often think of our plumes, you know. Plumed helmets at the Brandenburg Gate. Where are you going?
To unload the baggage, Your Majesty.
Well, don't. We'll go to Holland. But no farewells. At least we'll spare the generals that satisfaction.
Well, you you wake the Field Marshal?
No, sir. Oh? He was already awake, sir.
Hiding.
Sir?
Nothing. Did you tell him Berlin was on the wire?
Of course, sir.
Is he coming down?
Yes, sir.
Well, Governor, has it happened?
Yes, Field Marshal. The Imperial train steamed away in silence.
What direction?
Holland.
Berlin.
Sergeant.
Abert here, the office of the Chancellor.
Hindenburg. Please listen. It is the opinion of the Supreme Command that the government of which you are Chancellor is the only one with any claim to legality. In consequence of this opinion, Supreme Headquarters will send loyal troops to support your government and to restore order.
But my government has no legal claim. How can we hold elections?
Please be calm, Chancellor. There are two conditions. First, your government will provision the troops. Understood? Second, your government will cooperate in the suppression of mob rule and of Bolshevism. Understood?
Of course, we agree. Of course. Don't we all want the violence to stop?
Good. Yes, then you can hold your elections in which the majority will vote for peace and quiet.
Field Marshal, you have saved us.
Indeed. What? Yes, we must hope for favorable terms of the peace treaty. Good night, Chancellor.
Good night, Field Marshal. Thank God.
There are certain values, Gröner, of which the Emperor and his army are the eternal protectors. We cannot save the Emperor, but we can save the army.
I know that, Field Marshal.
We must save Germany. It is our sacred duty. Good night, Governor.
Field Marshal.
Good night, Sergeant.
Grazie. Excuse me, sir.
How will the Emperor live?
The Emperor? I expect they'll find him a mansion in Holland.
Count Bentinck,
Your Imperial Majesty.
to place your house at our disposal is more than generous. I understand that, like me, you are a knight of the Order of St. John of Jerusalem.
We share that honor, sir.
Is it true that the Austrian Emperor has fled?
I believe it is so.
The end of an epoch. What do you think of it all?
Mm-hmm. Will you meet my wife and household?
You are not a Freemason?
No, sir, I am not.
Splendid. We accept your hospitality.
Please.
So, now for some tea. A cup of good English tea.